still led by McLaren, who's 24 points, although they did nothing today. But Ferrari's...
After Brazil and South Africa, the Grand Prix scene moves to Europe, to Belgium. Not to the Spa circuit where the Belgian Grand Prix was held last year, but to Zolder, the scene of so many past Belgian Grand Prix. Now Zolder is very tough, it's very demanding. It's fairly flat, but it's twisty, it's hard on brakes, and it's going to be very difficult for the cars to go the race distance on a tank of fuel. And sadly, the man who won here in 1982, John Watson, is here just as a spectator.
And off goes Rosberg, and Watson is through. Change of lead. Rosberg goes out, hits the curbing at the side, and now John Watson is within sight of that checkered flag. He's going down the finishing straight, and the Belgian Grand Prix has been won by John Watson.
It's some time since the bombshell dropped. Has the pain gone?
Well, there wasn't really so much pain. It was there was obviously a disappointment, because it was like a marriage, really. I mean, I was together with Marlboro McLaren for 5 years, and when you divorce, mentally you're still married, but in physical terms you're not. So I still find myself referring to the team and to aspects of that. So it is a little bit strange, but being here today was an interesting experience. Not driving, but sitting in the pit wall and watching everybody else drive.
You must find it ironic that your replacement in the Marlboro McLaren team, Alain Prost, is now leading the World Championship.
It is ironic in one respect, because I believe that if there hadn't been a driver change, then it could have been me leading the championship.
Are you surprised that all the main teams except McLaren have not done well this season?
Yes, because all those teams that haven't done well are the teams that did the most testing. And it's an irony that Marlboro McLaren, who were late with their car, went to Brazil really with very little experience of it, and were right on the pace. They have a car that is easier on tyres than the opposition. They have an engine that is more economical than the opposition, yet they've done the least amount of running.
We'll be hearing more from John Watson during the season. But now here's a check on the World Championship table, which shows that John's replacement at McLaren, Alain Prost, is leading his teammate Niki Lauda, with Keke Rosberg third and Elio De Angelis and Derek Warwick tying for fourth, ahead of Eddie Cheever and Riccardo Patrese. And in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren have a massive 18-point lead over Williams and Alfa Romeo. In practice, Ferrari, who've yet to score, really came good, with Michele Alboreto in pole position and his teammate René Arnoux second. Rosberg third, Warwick fourth, De Angelis fifth, and Manfred Winkelhock sixth. But the championship leaders are well down. Prost 8th and Lauda 14th. And so are the Brabhams, with Piquet and Fabi 9th and 18th. The three other British drivers are all in. Nigel Mansell 10th, Martin Brundle an excellent 22nd, and Jonathan Palmer last to qualify at 26th.
Diese Bilder kommen live aus Zolder. Grüß Gott, meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren, liebe Motorsportfreunde in Österreich. Dritter Lauf zur Formel 1 Weltmeisterschaft 1984, der erste auf europäischem Boden nach den beiden großartigen McLaren-Siegen durch Alain Prost in Brasilien und vor 22 Tagen durch Niki Lauda in Südafrika. Schauplatz des Grand Prix von Belgien ist aber heute nicht die spektakuläre und so attraktive Ardennen-Naturrennstrecke von Spa-Francorchamps, sondern das Autodrom von Zolder, zum 10. Mal hintereinander hier in Zolder ein belgischer Grand Prix. Für einige Jahre, glaube ich, zum letzten Mal, denn für die beiden nächsten Jahre wurde der belgische Grand Prix auf alle Fälle wieder nach Spa-Francorchamps vergeben. Es ist ein politisches Problem hier mit den belgischen Sportbehörden, nach deren Wunsch alternierend einmal in Zolder und einmal in Spa gefahren werden soll. Die FOCA, das ist Bernie Ecclestones allgewaltige Formel 1 Konstrukteurvereinigung, möchte oder wollte den heutigen Grand Prix sehr gerne in Spa sehen, genau wie im vorigen Jahr, als Alain Prost gewonnen hat. Wir haben noch ziemlich viel Zeit, etwas mehr als eine Viertelstunde bis zum Start des Grand Prix von Belgien hier in Spa. Startaufstellung, bitte lesen Sie von rechts unten nach oben. Michele Alboreto, die 102. Pole Position für Ferrari in der Formel 1. Die erste für Michele Alboreto und sogar ein Trainingsdoppelsieg für Ferrari. Alboreto, Arnoux zuletzt waren beim Grand-Prix von Österreich in Zeltweg 2 Ferrari in der ersten Startreihe, nämlich Tambay und Arnoux. Dann Keke Rosberg, Derek Warwick, der Renault-Fahrer, der am Freitag Trainingsschnellster war, und Elio De Angelis, der italienische Nummer 1-Fahrer im Team von Lotus Renault. Unmittelbar also hinter dem Werks-Renault. 1:14,846 von Michele Alboreto. Das ist ein Schnitt von 205 Kilometer pro Stunde. Die schnellste je in Zolder gefahrene Zeit. Über eine Sekunde schneller als Alain Prost hier vor 2 Jahren. Zum Vergleich offizieller Rundenrekord 1:20 gefahren von John Watson. Überraschung im Training der deutsche Manfred Winkelhock als Sechster. Besser als die Brabham BMW-Fahrer Piquet und Fabi. Riccardo Patrese mit dem Alpha sehr stark. Alain Prost nur an der 8. Stelle, nachdem auch er gestern wie Niki Lauda große Schwierigkeiten im Training gehabt hat. Dann kommt Weltmeister Nelson Piquet und dann Nigel Mansell. Im Bild haben Sie Michele Alboreto, den 27-jährigen Italiener aus Mailand, der heute seinen 44. Grand Prix fährt. 2 hat er bereits gewonnen, nämlich Las Vegas 1982 und Detroit 1983, beide auf Tyrrell. Eddie Cheever mit dem zweiten Alpha, dann Patrick Tambay, dann Andrea De Cesaris und Niki Lauda mit 1:18,078 auf dem 14. Startplatz in der 7. Reihe. Hinter De Cesaris unmittelbar vor Jacques Lafitte. Rückstand 3,3 auf diesen Mann, auf Michele Alboreto. Die Formel-1-Perspektiven wurden hier in Zolder ein bisschen umgedreht. Das bis jetzt so dominierende McLaren-Team im Training weit hinten. Ferrari heuer noch ohne Punkte, aber im Training ein Doppelsieg. Johnny Cecotto schneller als der Teamkollege Senna. Thierry Boutsen, der Belgier, der beste Belgier seit Jackie X, der zum ersten Mal den Aeros BMW Turbo. Dann kommt Theo Fabi im zweiten Brabham, dann Senna, der zuletzt in Südafrika Sechster war, vor Erschöpfung aber nach dem Rennen zusammengebrochen ist und ins Spital gebracht wurde, wie Piercarlo Ghizani, der ja im Aufwärmtraining von Kyalami so schwer verunglückt war, aber trotz seiner schweren Brandwunden heute, 3 Wochen später, bereits wieder ein Comeback feiert. Jonathan Palmer, der englische Spitalsarzt, mit dem McDonald-Ram ist der letzte und 26. also der Startaufstellung. Der einzige nicht qualifiziert ist der Franzose Philippe Alliot. Die McLaren also auf Startplatz 8, Prost und 14 Lauda. Heute Vormittag, und das ist gleich die erfreulichste Nachricht zuerst, haben sich diese Perspektiven im Aufwärmtraining Gott sei Dank wieder etwas verschoben. Lauda Dritter und Prost Vierter im inoffiziellen Aufwärmtraining, im freien Training mit vollen Tanks unter Rennbedingungen. Michele Alboreto, dieser Fahrer, war am schnellsten mit 1:17,7. Manfred Winkelhock war zweitschnellster mit 1:18,7 und dann bereits Niki Lauda mit 1:18,8. Ein interessanter Blick ins Cockpit des Ferrari. Vielleicht interessieren Sie Ladedruck und PS. Die Ferrari fahren im Training mit etwa 2,8 Bar Ladedruck, erreichen damit über 900 PS. Im Rennen fahren sie mit weitaus weniger Ladedruck, haben nur noch unter Anführung 660 PS. Zum Vergleich die McLaren Tag Turbo von Lauda und Prost im Training mit 2,5 Bar Ladedruck und im Rennen werden sie heute mit 2,2 Bar beginnen. Das entspricht ungefähr 740 PS. Niki Lauda hat allerdings in Kyalami nach halber Distanz zurückgedreht auf 2,0 Bar, um Benzin zu sparen. René Arnoux hat bis jetzt 7 Grand Prix gewonnen, heißt dieses Zeichen. Der erste Sieg war ja in Brasilien 1980, der letzte in Zandvoort voriges Jahr. Ferrari hat hier in Zolder nicht getestet vor 2 Wochen. Man hat zu Hause sehr viele Heimaufgaben noch erledigen müssen. Man hat an der Aufhängung, man hat an der Aerodynamik der Autos gearbeitet und man hat den Rückstand hier in Zolder aufholen können. Das bewies der gestrige Trainingsdoppelsieg durch Alboreto und Arnoux. Allerdings weiß man, dass die Ferrari-Fahrer im Training immer stärker sind als im Rennen. Es liegt zum Teil an den Reifen. Es gibt neue Radialreifen, die im Training schon sehr gut sind, im Rennen vielleicht noch etwas Entwicklungszeit benötigen. Auch die französische Konkurrenzreifenfirma, die unter anderem McLaren ausrüstet, hat neue Reifen eingeflogen und zwar heute Nacht direkt aus Frankreich kommen. Überhaupt sehr viel Hektik hier an den Trainingstagen von Zolder. Niki Lauda und Alain Prost haben am Samstag neue Vorderflügel bekommen. Heute Nacht neue Reifen. Für die Brabham BMW-Fahrer Piquet und Fabi wurden nach 7 Motorschäden im Training heute Nacht extra aus München andere Kanister Benzin geholt. Es hat unkontrollierte Explosionen gegeben und wie gesagt 7 Motorschäden im Training. Keke Rosberg, Weltmeister 82, hätte damals schon hier in Zolder fast gewonnen, geführt bis in die vorletzte Runde und dann noch überholt worden von John Watson. Watson war hier während der Trainingstage, hat ein Interview für die BBC gegeben und hat gesagt, meine einzige Chance, in die Formel 1 zurückzukehren, ist im Augenblick nie auf den Unfall eines anderen Kollegen zu warten. Keke Rosbergs neuen Overall kennen Sie, glaube ich, schon. Er ist jetzt gelb, nicht mehr so wie im Vorjahr. Der Honda-Motor gilt allgemein als sehr durstig, genauso wie der Alpha-Turbo-Motor, vielleicht auch wie der Renault-Motor. Das sind die Fahrzeuge, von denen ich glaube, dass sie vielleicht am ehesten in der Schlussphase dieses Grand-Prix stehen bleiben könnten. Bis jetzt ist es erst zweimal in diesem Jahr passiert, dass einem Fahrer der Sprit ausgegangen ist. Beide Male war es Patrick Tambay, beide Male waren es aber mechanische Schäden. Einmal ein aufgeplatzter Tank und einmal hat sich die mechanische Einspritzpumpe während des Rennens verstellt. Derek Warwick hatte zuletzt bei seinem dritten Platz, hier haben Sie ein Bild in Kyalami, noch 12 Liter Benzin an Bord, also das Ziel erreichte, hat sich in den letzten Trainingsfahrten eindeutig als schnellerer Mann gegenüber Patrick Tambay erwiesen. Das verschärft den Druck auf Tambay, der im Training einen sehr nervösen, verbissenen Eindruck gemacht hat. Mit quietschenden Reifen aus der Box, mit aufheulendem Motor. Derek Warwick sehr zuversichtlich für den heutigen Grand Prix. Hat an der rechten Seite die weicheren Reifen montiert 0,5, an der linken Seite die härteren Reifen 0,10. Warum? Zolder hat fast nur Rechtskurven, 8 Rechtskurven, in denen also die Hauptbelastung auf den äußeren, auf den linksseitigen Reifen liegt. Daher verwendet man links etwas härtere Reifen, weil sie etwas länger halten sollen. 10 Minuten noch bis zum Start. Wir sehen den Lotus Renault von Elio De Angelis und hier den deutschen ATS BMW von Manfred Winkelhock. Große Überraschung im Training. Sie sehen, dass das Benzin hier kühl gehalten wird durch einen Sonnenschirm. Es ist heute nicht sehr heiß hier in Zolder. Es ist bei weitem kühler als an den Trainingstagen. Ein GP-Sieg für De Angelis heißt das, Zeltweg 1982. Sie erinnern sich vielleicht noch an das Fotofinish. De Angelis hier mit der weißen Kappe gegen Keke Rosberg. De Angelis war schnellster im ersten Training, hat dann eine gebrochene Halbachse gehabt, einen Getriebeschaden im ersten Gang, ist über die Schikane quer durchgefahren, ausgerutscht und hat so die Bestzeit aus dem ersten Training verloren. Manfred Winkelhocks neuer ATS. 5 cm breiter und 8 cm länger geworden. Dadurch hat man zum ersten Mal seit 2 Jahren das lästige Übersteuern dieses Autos weggebracht. 14-tägige, sehr harte Arbeit an diesem Auto. Winkelhock war im Training 6. Das ist sein bester Startplatz seiner Turbokarriere. Einmal war er schon 5. Das war vor 2 Jahren in Detroit in Amerika, damals noch mit dem ATS Ford. Winkelhock hatte heute im freien Training einen geplatzten Turbolader, musste dann auf den alten Wagen zurückwechseln und hat mit diesem alten Wagen dann die zweitbeste Zeit des freien Trainings gefahren. Riccardo Patrese, 2 Grand Prix-Siege auf Brabham, seinerzeit Monte Carlo und Kyalami, Jahresende. Sie sehen die originellen dreiteiligen Heckflügel. Das war eine Ferrari-Idee aus dem vorigen Jahr, die mittlerweile in allen Teams längst kopiert wurde. Riccardo Patrese, auch er einer der Piloten, glaube ich, denen am ehesten der Sprit ausgehen könnte. Michele Alboreto, der Trainingsschnellste zum Vergleich gilt als der Fahrer, der am benzinsparendsten und am materialschonendsten fährt. Der Weltmeisterschaftsführende Alain Prost, Sieger von Brasilien, Zweiter in Südafrika nach der phänomenalen Aufholjagd, nachdem er aus den Boxen starten musste. Quer durchs Feld ist er noch Zweiter geworden. Prost 8. Startplatz, das ist der gleiche Platz, von dem aus Niki Lauda in Kyalami in Südafrika den Grand Prix gewonnen hat. Prost führt in der Weltmeisterschaft, 15 Punkte, Lauda hat 9, Doppelführung also für McLaren und im Konstrukteurbewerb führt der McLaren noch überlegener, 24 Punkte, die nächsten Verfolger, nämlich Williams und Alpha, haben nur je 6. Nelson Piquet, Weltmeister 81 und 83, 10 Grand Prix-Siege. Hier in Zolder vor 2 Jahren die ersten Punkte mit dem Brabham BMW Turbo. 5. war er damals, voriges Jahr 4. in Spa. Große Schwierigkeiten, wie gesagt, 7 Motorschäden, Piquet und Fabi im Training. Unkontrollierte Explosionen. Vielleicht wissen Sie, dass das Benzin für die Brei-BMW in München in einem eigenen Labor hergestellt wird. Üblicherweise wird dieser Treibstoff dann bei BMW in der Fabrik nochmals getestet. Diesmal ist der Treibstoff direkt nach Zolder, direkt auf den Rennplatz gekommen und irgendetwas kann vielleicht nicht gestimmt haben. Auf alle Fälle heute Nacht neue Benzinkanister herbeigeschafft worden. Nigel Mansell, der Engländer, der bei den Testfahrten hier vor 2 Wochen von allen Piquet am nächsten gekommen ist, 1 Sekunde Rückstand nur, 10. hier im Training, einwandfrei langsamer als sein Teamkollege De Angelis. Aber Nigel Mansell ist das beste Grand-Prix-Rennen seiner Karriere hier in Zolder gefahren, 1981. Damals war er Dritter. Zolder überhaupt sehr oft eine Lotus-Strecke gewesen. Mario Andretti hat hier gewonnen, Gunnar Nilsson und so weiter. Jim Clark 4-mal hintereinander sogar Sieger im belgischen Grand Prix, allerdings in Spa. Eddie Cheever mit dem Alfa Romeo war in den beiden letzten belgischen Grand Prix-Rennen immer auf dem Siegespodest, und zwar als Dritter. Die Alfa hatten ihr bestes Trainingsergebnis dieser Saison. Patrese 7., Cheever 11. Das Trainingsduell der beiden Fahrer steht 2:1 für Patrese. Bei Alfa wird ein neues 6-Gang-Getriebe entwickelt, allerdings erst beim Grand Prix von San Marino in Imola. Das ist am nächsten Sonntag zu verwenden. Zuletzt bei den Testfahrten in Imola waren die Alfa schneller als Ferrari, noch dazu auf dem Autodromo Dino Ferrari, was eine Ohrfeige für Ferrari gewesen ist. Wir sehen Thierry Boutsen, den jungen Belgier. Er ist der beste belgische Fahrer seit Jacques X. Und Boutsen fährt sein erstes Rennen mit dem Aeros BMW Turbo. Dieses Fahrzeug bekommt in Imola am nächsten Sonntag Marc Surer und ab dem übernächsten Grand Prix dann in Dijon in Frankreich werden beide Aeros-Fahrer diesen Turbo zur Verfügung haben, damit nur noch ein einziges Team mit 2 Ford Cosworth Saugmotoren, Tyrrell mit den Fahrern Bellof und Brandl. Thierry Boutsen, ein hochbegabter belgischer Fahrer. Allgemein wird ihm eine große Zukunft in der Formel 1 eingeräumt. Erstaunlich wenig Trainingsprobleme für den ersten Einsatz mit einem Turbofahrzeug. Heute Vormittag der 3. Gang kaputt geworden, wurde ausgewechselt. Und interessant, Thierry Boutsen hat seine beste Trainingszeit mit Rennreifen auf der Hinterachse gefahren. Qualifikationsreifen, das sind die besonders schnellen, besonders weichen, die allerdings nur wenige Runden halten. Nur vorne. Heini Mader, der ehemalige Mechaniker des Schweden Joachim Bonnier, wartet die BMW Turbomotoren für Aeros, hat vor ein paar Tagen Riesenglück gehabt, wurde auf dem Londoner Flugplatz in eine Bombenexplosion verwickelt, wurde bei dem Anschlag aber nur leicht verletzt. Maurice Philippe, der Konstrukteur des Tyrrell am Wagen von Martin Brandl, dieser junge Engländer, der 45. Fahrer der Formel-1-Geschichte, der in seinem ersten Grand Prix bereits Weltmeisterschaftspunkte erreichen konnte. 5. Platz in Rio de Janeiro. Zuletzt war so etwas Alain Prost 1980 gelungen. Und jetzt haben wir endlich Niki Lauda. 14. Startplatz für den Österreicher. Das ist sein schlechtester Startplatz nur seit er den Turbo fährt, seit Zandvoort im vergangenen August in Holland. Die Trainingsprobleme von Lauda, glaube ich, haben Sie ja mitbekommen. So knapp nach seinem 20. Grand Prix-Sieg in Kyalami. Der McLaren hat im Freitagtraining Feuer gefangen. Ursache war eine lose Benzinleitung. Sicherlich also eine Mechaniker-Schlamperei, für die man allerdings schwer jemanden anklagen kann. Vielleicht ist ein gewisser Hochmut im Team eingerissen nach den großartigen Erfolgen der beiden ersten Rennen. Gestern hatte Niki Lauda elektrische und elektronische Schwierigkeiten im Bild der Renault von Patrick Tambay. Lauda also gestern elektrische und elektronische Probleme. Später hat er einen totalen Getriebeschaden gehabt. Das Getriebehauptlager ist gebrochen. Das Getriebe musste komplett ausgebaut, gewechselt werden. Das hat gedauert bis 12 Minuten vor Trainingsende. Inzwischen waren alle Fahrer längst auf der Bahn, haben ihre Zeiten verbessert. Lauda hatte nur noch 12 Minuten Zeit und alles gegen sich. Qualifikationsreifen, die er noch nicht einfahren hatte können. Im Bild haben Sie Lafitte. Qualifikationsreifen hat er nicht eingefahren, Auto nicht abgestimmt, weil er ja kaum zum Fahren gekommen war. Große Schwierigkeiten für Lauda. Eine rutschige, eine ölüberflutete Bahn aufgrund der vielen Motorschäden. Allein den Williams Honda sind innerhalb von 10 Minuten 3 Motoren geplatzt, einer Lafitte, den Sie hier im Bild sehen, mit Neil Oatley, seinem Ingenieur, und 2 bei Keke Rosberg. Trotzdem hat sich Lauda noch um 18 Sekunden verbessern können gegenüber dem Freitag und steht also heute, wie gesagt, auf dem 14. Startplatz. Ein kritischer, ein langer, ein bitterer Weg nach vorne heute für Lauda. 13 Wagen hat er vor sich, unter anderem seinen Teamkollegen bei McLaren, den Franzosen Alain Prost. Lauda hat eine hervorragende belgische Grand-Prix-Bilanz. Ich schaue mir seine Ergebnisse ab 1973 an. 5., 2., 1., 2., dann ein Unfall und eine Disqualifikation. Als Dritter hier in Zolder, das war vor 2 Jahren, als das Mindestgewicht von 580 Kilo ganz knapp unterschritten war. Ich glaube um 1,8 Kilo. Der Grund war, dass der Motor überhitzt hat und Lauda einige Liter an Flüssigkeit verloren hat. 220 Liter in den Tanks. Wir sehen noch einmal den belgischen Lokalmatador Thierry Bautzen. 220 Liter, die für einige zu wenig sein dürften. Es gibt schon wieder große Diskussionen, ob man wirklich das Tanklimit für nächstes Jahr auf 195 Liter herabsetzen oder vielleicht doch bei 220 Liter bleiben soll. Und Jean-Marie Balestre, der Präsident der FISA, hat hier in Zolder auch schon davon gesprochen, dass er sich noch 3 Rennen die Sache überlegt und anschaut und dann vielleicht sogar wieder die Tankstops, die im vorigen Jahr ja so sehr zur Belebung der Grand Prix-Übertragungen beigetragen haben, zulassen wird. Nicht besonders viel Zuschauer heute in Zolder, ungefähr 60.000. Zolder liegt in der belgischen Provinz Limburg. Die Gegend ist vielleicht nicht besonders. Es gibt einige Vergnügungsparks.
For the start of the warm-up lap for the Belgian Grand Prix here in superb weather conditions, bright sunshine, clear blue skies, although there's quite a strong wind blowing at Zolder, which can bring sand onto the track and create a very slippery surface. And there is a sight that we have not seen since the Austrian Grand Prix last year. Ferraris in pole and second positions on the grid. Because on the right, behind the official with the green flag, is for the first time in his Grand Prix career, Michele Alboreto in the Ferrari, and alongside him is René Arnoux. As they go away, behind them in 3rd and 4th positions on the grid are Keke Rosberg and Derek Warwick.
Well, welcome to the start of the European season, and although we've had 2 Grand Prix already this year, I would say that this race is more difficult to predict than any race we've seen for a long time. I've talked to a lot of the teams this morning, and uncertainty, in fact the only team that I spoke to the whole morning who seemed certain of anything was the Alfa Romeo team, who were certain that they were going to run out of petrol. And with that nobody could disagree, and certainly not with their confidence. But apart from then, everybody seems to be in one sort of problem or another. The fuel regulations continue to provide a lot of headaches and a lot of head scratching. Ferrari, for example, who have totally turned around their first 2 races' form, have changed their fuel injection system fundamentally back to the old normal injection system rather than the computerized electronic system, and that we would imagine is in search of more power, which they seem to have found again. But it will be very interesting to see how their fuel consumption goes as a result of having more power available through what's supposedly a less accurate system. Of course, this is all connected with the fact that these cars, as regular viewers will know, are restricted to 220 litres of fuel this year, which is considerably less than they've used in the past when they've been able to use as much as they want. And therefore, it's a bit of an economy run, and they have to judge their fuel usage. Now, here they are coming around the last hairpin of the familiar Zolder circuit. Very tight, twisty, very hard work for the drivers. It undulates, it winds a lot, it's got a couple of very tight, slow corners. It's quite bumpy, which adds to the physical strain for the drivers, and it's very hard on the car's brakes and transmission because it's very much a stop-go circuit. The lot of sharp acceleration, winding up the transmission and putting a strain on that, and then heavy braking with these cars carrying a lot of weight. 220 litres of fuel weighs, well, a lot. I could work it out. Pulling up onto the grid now.
Led by Michele Alboreto, number 27, with behind him, in second place on the grid, his teammate René Arnoux. Then Keke Rosberg,
On your left and Rosberg's right is the fourth place man on the grid, Derek Warwick. Then in the black and gold car, Elio De Angelis, and then in the yellow ATS, Manfred Winkelhock. 70 laps, 185 miles. Derek Ongaro ready to press the light switch, which will take them from red to green and go. And Keke Rosberg is left very badly on the line as the rest of them get away. Rosberg, third on the grid, was miraculously missed by everybody else and has got away, but is 26th and last as the leaders stream away round the Bianchi bend and up towards the chicane on lap 1. And it's Ferrari, Renault, Ferrari. Alboreto is leading. In third place is René Arnoux, and Derek Warwick is in second place in the Renault. Fourth is Winkelhoff through the chicane on towards Terlamen, and it's Alboreto, Warwick, Arnoux, first, second and third. Ferrari, Renault, Ferrari. And Michele Alboreto is doing here in Belgium what he did at Brazil. He's leading strongly from the start of the race, but don't forget that in Brazil he broke down. Derek Warwick in a strong position to challenge, keeping ahead of René Arnoux as they're coming down towards the end of the first lap, and this is the end of the first lap, and it's Alboreto leading, Warwick second, René Arnoux third, Winkelhock fourth, De Angelis fifth, Riccardo Patrese sixth, and already Alain Prost, there he is, the third of the cars that you're looking at now, the red and white car, is up into seventh position, Alain Prost, and he started 8th on the grid, so he's already made up a place.
Yes, at the start, Keke Rosberg, he appeared to lose revs on his engine, or anyway, it came off the cam, and these turbo engines are very difficult to get running. He sat there trying to flip up his throttle, it was popping and banging, and the amazing thing is that the whole field managed to avoid him, because it's very, very narrow. Here, this grid at Zolder, and very difficult to see from the cars coming behind when you've got a whole lot of cars between you and the stationary one, and he was near the front of the grid. So it was a fortunate escape for everybody, both Keke and the people behind him, and he's got the engine going, but he's now got a big problem because this circuit has a real premium on overtaking. It's very difficult to overtake. For example, and that could be Rosberg cruising in. No.
It's one of the Tolmans. It looks like Johnny Cecotto. It is Johnny Cecotto.
But, for example, on the overtaking situation, both Prost and Lauda were very quick this morning in the warm-up and full tanks and in race configuration, but from their lowly grid positions, they're going to have a lot of trouble catching up. So, yes, there you see the Tolman just cruising in. He's into the pit lane now, and so he'll be out of the way of the other people in the race. Meanwhile, Alboreto confirming the form that won him his Ferrari drive. They've got the car going for the first time properly this year, and as soon as they did that, Alboreto has collected the first pole position of his career, and now, as we've seen him do so before, looks very poised and controlled in the lead.
Yes, this very mature young Italian, but Derek Warwick holding on well in the Renault in second position. Don't forget that it's Derek Warwick's intention to go through the whole race without changing tyres. We don't know what the Ferraris are going to do. The Goodyear runners, most of them, except Ferrari of Williams, have got a brand new rear tyre. There's Manfred Winkelhock in fourth position behind René Arnoux, and in fifth place it's still Elio De Angelis leading the Alfa Romeo. In sixth position of Riccardo Patrese, and we are completing lap 3 out of 70. Nigel Mansell is in 15th position. Martin Brundle is in a strong 18th position, and he started 22nd. And Jonathan Palmer, the last of the four British drivers, is down in 26th position. Looking now at Derek Warwick on lap 4. And you can see the gap now between Alboreto, who's pulling away a bit from Warwick, who's keeping ahead. And that is one of the Alfa Romeos out of the race already. It is that of Riccardo Patrese, who you see walking away.
Well, the opening laps that we have seen have very much confirmed practice form. The Ferrari is going very well indeed. Derek Warwick, who's been having a marvellous meeting so far, he was fastest despite only using race tyres to do his time on Friday in qualifying. He's gone very well in the warm-up, and he's holding on well in amongst the two Ferraris. Alboreto opening a tiny bit of air, Arnoux holding on apparently comfortably, but they are opening up a gap on Winkelhock. Problem nowadays, though, of course, with these new regulations and a lot of tyre changes, Goodyear have been a little bit behind in the first couple of races, so they've been rushing through a panic program, hence the tyres, the new rear tyres Murray was talking about. Bit of a mistake there from Warwick, lost a little bit of ground, and Arnoux is beginning to, yes, having a look. He's not nearly close enough, but I suppose just looking for future reference, see if he can see a hole there. It's interesting to see if Warwick can make up that little bit of ground that he's lost. But the big problem is we've got question mark over, for instance, particularly with Ferrari. Warwick's a fairly known quantity, but we don't know how their engines are going to, how much fuel they're going to use, and we don't know how much tyre wear they're going to have on the Goodyears, and how conservative or how speculative they're being on their hard or soft compound.
Cecotto has gone into the pits with a brake problem, and the order now on lap 5 out of 70. As you can see, Michele Alboreto leading, Warwick second, Arnoux is in third position, Winkelhock is fourth, De Angelis is fifth, Alain Prost is in sixth position, Nigel Mansell is now in 15th position, and Martin Brundle is 18th, with Jonathan Palmer still bringing up the rear, and Derek Warwick, with those longer-lasting, he hopes, tyres on his car, is keeping station. And it's Goodyear tyres leading, Michelin second, Goodyear third, and Pirelli in fourth position. So there's a very even spread of the important tyre manufacturers as the leader goes through to complete his fifth lap. Alboreto, and it looks to me as though Winkelhock is gaining on Arnoux, and Warwick in second position is pulling away from the Frenchman in the Ferrari a bit. You can see for yourself.
This looks like a bit of a breakthrough for Pirellis, because they have made good qualifying cars in the past, but they've never really made a very, or certainly not a race car that has been actually successful. And Winkelhock has now closed that gap, the ground that he's lost. He also, somebody slowing down in a bit of trouble. Could it be one of the McLarens? I think it is. I can't see it, and they say it's Prost on the caption. So Alain Prost looks to be in mechanical trouble and slowing down, which will be a great disappointment to the McLaren team. Niki Lauda is way back in something like 11th place at the moment, but of course he started 14th on the grid. But whilst he's fighting to get through back markers, that's what he's doing. These chaps have got a clear road that we're looking at now, and they're going away. And I must say it's interesting, and I think that's just Prost parking, so that's not really, we've seen him, we know he's in trouble. But Winkelhock's performance is particularly gratifying to Pirellis, because he's not the kindest of drivers to tyres. He throws his car about a lot, and that's not the way to look after them. So if they're standing up to Winkelhock, fairly, what I suppose what's called muscular driving technique, then, whoops, and now they're smothering it in foam. It probably wasn't on fire at all, but maybe his turbo just caught.
Alain Prost, of course, is leading the championship, and the pendulum is swinging, as it very often does in Grand Prix racing. McLarens, who seemed so dominant and who are actually leading the Constructors' Championship by an enormous margin, have now already lost one of their cars. As you look at Warwick second, Arnoux third, and Winkelhock closing right up with the Frenchman. There in fifth place is Elio De Angelis, and right behind De Angelis now is Nelson Piquet. So Piquet is absolutely streaking through the field, because he is up from 9th position to 6th.
Yes, the lead is a real big battle going on at the front at the moment, because Warwick looks to me as if he's using everything he's got just to hold on to Alboreto, who naturally in turn is using everything he's got just to get away, and it's an important psychological trial of strength. Likewise, Arnoux is busy holding on, and as well as resisting a challenge from Winkelhock, who's coming at him in fourth place, trying to get past. So it's an important psychological struggle to see whether they actually separate or whether they can all hold on to each other for the time being.
So there are De Angelis and Piquet in respectively 5th and 6th position. Elio De Angelis in the JPS Lotus with its V6 Renault turbocharged engine. Nelson Piquet hoping that his BMW engine lasts, which it hasn't done in the previous 2 Grand Prix at Brazil and South Africa, or in practice. There is confirmation of the positions. You can see the gaps for yourselves. Ferrari's 1st and 2nd, Renault 3rd.
Now this is where Piquet's got to get it dead right. He's got a bit of a straight here. The Brabham we saw in South Africa is very fast in a straight line, and he's got a chance to outbrake, but he's not close enough in fact. This is the problem with the Zolder circuit, because they're all running very big wings. The car in front makes a lot of turbulence. The car behind doesn't grip as well when he's close because of the turbulence of the air. And so the closer you get, the less grip you have, and it's the old problem of getting close enough.
That's Thierry Boutsen in the pits, the Belgian, in his first race in the Arrows BMW, and it looks as though it may well be over already. They had balancing problems getting the car to run cleanly during practice, but there's a terrific scrap going on behind the 5th and 6th men, where there they are, De Angelis and Piquet, because Eddie Cheever, who has done extremely well for Alfa Romeo this year, is going to be coming into your picture as Piquet goes through and takes Elio De Angelis and 5th position. So Nelson Piquet, the reigning world champion, on lap 9 out of 70, goes up to 5th position. He's already pulling away from Elio De Angelis. Behind Elio De Angelis, who is now 6th. In 7th place is Eddie Cheever, going well in the very nimble Alfa Romeo, but a car that, as James said earlier on, is going to have problems completing the race without running out of fuel. And just behind Eddie Cheever in 8th position is Patrick Tambay. Now Nigel Mansell is up to 14th, Martin Brundle is up to 16th position. And there is the race leader. There's the gap between Michele Alboreto, the race leader, on lap 9 out of 70. And the next man you should see will be Derek Warwick in the yellow Renault. And Alboreto has now got something like a 5-second lead already. There is Boutsen, an unhappy man because his Belgian Grand Prix is finished, and naturally, Boutsen, being a Belgian and the centre of interest here, wanted desperately to do well in this race. He's standing by the car, obviously hoping to get back in it. Harvey Postlethwaite, the man who designed this Renault that you're looking at now, said yesterday that they knew that the C4 Ferrari that Alboreto is driving was better than the C3 last year's car, and they just had to persevere with it. Well, they did persevere. They got a new kind of fuel injection. They've tried all sorts of tyre combinations. They were throwing all sorts of different types of compounds and constructions at the cars yesterday. They got the balance and the handling absolutely superb. Michele Alboreto, who has driven for Ken Tyrrell for 3 seasons before he went to Ferrari, is now showing just how good he is. There is Warwick, who is 2nd, but where is Arnoux, who should be in 3rd position and was closer to this than this to Derek Warwick last time I saw him. Meantime, Keke Rosberg is surging through the field. He started last at 26th. There's Arnoux in the background, and Keke Rosberg is now up to 11th position on the 11th lap out of 70. Derek Warwick 2nd, in the background Arnoux 3rd. Winkelhock is still in 4th position. Piquet 5th, De Angelis 6th, Cheever 7th, Tambay 8th, Lauda 9th, De Chester is 10th, Rosberg 11th, and Teo Fabi in 12th position.
Well, it looks as if the leading battle has resolved itself for the moment in favour of Michele Alboreto. He's now managed to, as it were, break the toe that he was giving to Derek Warwick, and he's pulled out something like over 6.5 seconds lead, and seems to be steadily increasing that lead. In the meantime, the concertina is stretching, because there is Derek Warwick, and he's pulled out a 4 or 5 second lead on René Arnoux. But Winkelhoff is keeping up well and still threatening. He's very much in touch with Arnoux, and of course Piquet is coming up to challenge. He's got a bit of air to make up, to catch. He's about sort of 5 seconds behind Manfred Winkelhock at the moment.
Boutsen getting out into the race, and those of you who know about these things may be surprised to hear me referring to the Belgian Grand Prix as being 70 laps long when you expected it to be 71. Well, for some reason that is not at all clear to any of us, it was decided to include the warm-up lap in the 71 laps, so the actual race itself is going to be over 70 and not as anticipated 71 laps. There goes Eddie Cheever through the picture. That's Patrick Tambay. There is Nicky Lauda, and behind Lauda and gaining fast is Keke Rosberg. Now Lauda is in 9th position, Keke Rosberg therefore in 10th position, and see the way the Finn is driving his Williams V6 turbo Honda powered car. He's really charging. Rosberg, number 6, is in 3rd position in the World Championship thanks to his 2nd place in Brazil, closing up on Lauda, who is closing up on Tambay, and Tambay is in 8th position behind Eddie Cheever. There's Lauda. Rosberg. Tambay in front. And the order now on lap 12 is Alboreto leads, Warwick 2nd, Arnoux 3rd, Winkelhock 4th, Piquet 5th, De Angelis 6th, Cheever 7th, and then the battle that we're looking at between Tambay, Lauda and Rosberg, all of them gaining. And Ginzani has come up, the Italian driver who crashed in South Africa, is now up into 13th place in his new Osella. We're looking at Patrick Tambay, who is 8th, Lauda, who is 9th, Rosberg, who is 10th. Renault, McLaren and Williams, with respectively Renault, Tag and Honda engines. What we don't know, of course, is what compound tires a lot of the drivers have got, and it's going to be even more critical here at Zolder, which is so demanding on the rubber than it is at almost any other circuit. Tambay, Lauda and Rosberg.
As well, Rosberg, when you consider that we're at a circuit where overtaking is really difficult, from starting bog last, as he did, has come through the field at a quite astonishing rate. He's really flying. I know we've all seen what a great driver he is, and when he gets the adrenaline up, he really goes. But now is the time that it really matters. We've got to watch, because he's just arrived, if you like, at the back end of Division 1. He's now playing in the big league, whereas he was, by and large, passing the Division 2 men. To get to where he is, and things are going to be a little bit tougher. And also his right front tyre to me looks a little bit marked. I only had a glimpse of it then, but that it may be he will have to be careful when charging that hard on these marginal tyres. Then of course it's difficult, and it looked like a bit of a mistake from Lauda there, and Rosberg's taking advantage of it. It's down the inside with the power. There, Lauda made a bit of a mistake, so Rosberg makes up a place. Now let's see how he can deal with Patrick Tambay.
Keke Rosberg, the world champion of 1982, moves up to 9th position ahead of Nicky Lauda. Look at it again. He forces through on the inside, holds his position as he goes into the bend. Nicky Lauda tries to keep up, but has to back off and let Rosberg through, and I think it's not going to be very long before Keke Rosberg in 9th position takes number 15, the Renault of Frenchman Patrick Tambay, ahead of him, and goes up to 8th position from 26th, and this is lap 14, a quite incredible, typical, meteoric, charging drive by Keke Rosberg, who's really reveling now in the extra power that the Honda turbocharged engine's giving him, compared with the Ford 3-litre DSE engine which he had up to the end of last season. Tambay 8th, Rosberg 9th, Lauda 10th. And it's still Alboreto leading, Warwick second, Arnoux third, Winkelhock fourth, Piquet fifth, De Angelis sixth, Cheever seventh. And look at this. Keke Rosberg challenging Patrick Tambay, and he forces his way through, obliges Patrick Tambay to take the wide line and goes through and takes 8th position.
Yes, terrific stuff. Well, the extra power of the Honda engine we saw in South Africa, but what we saw there very clearly, this was before that, coming through the corner that made it the chicane, was the extra traction and grip that Rosberg was able to exert, and that would be a tribute both to his chassis and to Goodyear, who are certainly showing that they bounced back. They definitely struggled the first 2 Grand Prix of the year, but and Lauda now having a little bit of a look at Patrick Tambay, but without success that time. But with the Ferraris up in front on their rubber, looking very good indeed, we'll have to obviously weigh this more carefully by the end of the race when we're looking at with hindsight to see how well they wore compared with the Michelins, but certainly they're really going very well indeed.
And while you look at this, Nigel Mansell is coming into the pits, and there he is. Nigel Mansell, who was in, at the time, 20th position, so he's dropped down through the field. It's obviously not tyres, because as you can see for yourselves, no jacks, no pneumatic hammers, the wheels aren't coming off, but Mansell is coming out, and he is finished in the Belgian Grand Prix, and it's still led on lap 16 by Alboreto, ahead of Warwick, and he's some 6 seconds now ahead of the Englishman. And in 3rd position, it's still René Arnoux in the 3rd Ferrari, ahead of Manfred Winkelhock in the ATS, and you're looking at the race leader, Michele Alboreto. Now,
I think Warwick's in trouble. I think Arnoux's just passed him. Look now, is this Warwick coming through? I saw him go past, but no, it was the back marker. I beg your pardon. No, hang on, that was...
It's the spirit of Mauro Baldi, and we'll take the gap between Michele Alboreto, who crosses the line now, as Derek Warwick comes up to go past, and the gap between Warwick and Alboreto is 6.06 seconds, which is about what it was, and the race positions are held for the first half dozen or so anyway, with 16 laps completed out of 70. There is the race leader, commandingly driving his Ferrari ahead of Warwick second, Arnoux third, Winkelhock fourth, Piquet fifth, and De Angelis sixth.
Yes, apologies for that. I nearly gave myself a heart attack. I thought I'd seen Warwick slowed down when we had a good but it was Alboreto passing the back marker.
Martin Brundle, that you see the 3rd of this batch, and his teammate Stefan Beloff are in 13th and 14th positions, chasing Andrea de Cesaris, who is 12th. And this is a fascinating battle, because as I said earlier on, the 2 nimble 4 DFV-powered Tyrrells, with their light weight and their softer tyres, are at a much better advantage at Zolder. Mansell's gone out with a clutch problem, and there is Jacques Lafitte. Jacques Lafitte in the Williams, and you can see that he's being pushed off the course, so he's obviously out of the race, getting out of the car to join the other retirees, Riccardo Patrese, Alain Prost, Thierry Boutsen, who came in and has actually now gone back into the race, Nigel Mansell, who has retired, and Jacques Lafitte. Lap 18 out of 70, Alboreto that we're looking at leads, Warwick second, Arnoux third, Winkelhock fourth, Piquet fifth, De Angelis sixth, Eddie Cheever seventh, Keke Rosberg fighting his way through and is now in 8th position, ahead of Tambay 9th and Lauda 10th, Teo Fabi is 11th, and then there's that battle for 12th position between De Cesaris and the leading 3-litre cars of Stefan Beloff and Brundle, both in Tyrrell. 8.646 seconds, that says, between the race leader, there he is, Michele Alboreto on lap 18, and Derek Warwick in the Renault. Question, is number 27, Michele Alboreto, going to stop to change his Goodyear tyres? We don't know. Ferrari weren't prepared to say just before the race began. We do know that Derek Warwick intends to drive straight through, so if Michele Alboreto there comes into the pits to change his tyres, and Warwick is where he is now, the Englishman would certainly take the lead. Patrick Tambay seems to be in trouble in 10th position. He's dropping back. There is Mark Sura in the Arrows. There is Derek Warwick in 2nd position. Now watch for René Arnoux in the Scarlet Ferrari. That's the gap, and it's a long, long gap now. There is the Frenchman. And behind him, Winkelhock behind him in 5th position, Piquet. That's Maribaldi, who has been lapped. There is De Angelis, chased by Chiva. And De Angelis, number 11, is in 6th position. And you can see that Eddie Chiva there in the green and red V8 Alfa Romeo in 7th place is right with the Italian in the JPS Lotus. They pass Maribaldi. It is now lap 19. Phil Alboreto leads. Warwick 2nd, Arnoux 3rd, Ferraris 1st and 3rd. Winkelhock chasing Arnoux 4th. Piquet 5th, De Angelis 6th, Chiva 7th, Rosberg 8th. You're watching the battle between Elio De Angelis and Eddie Chiva for 6th position. JPS Lotus leads Alfa Romeo. Italian leads American. Some 650 horsepower under their right foot, all these drivers. And did you see Keke Rosberg coming into the picture? As Boutsen comes into the pits again, Keke Rosberg in 8th position is gaining hand over fist on Elio De Angelis, who is 6th, and Chiva, who is 7th. We're seeing as great a drive from Keke Rosberg in this Belgian Grand Prix as we saw from Alain Prost in the South African Grand Prix. Now there is Rosberg. The third of these 3 cars is Keke Rosberg in 8th position. Remember, Alain Prost drove from 26th to 2nd in South Africa. Keke Rosberg has already driven from 26th to 8th, and he's going to move up further still.
Yeah, I must take issue with that, Murray, in that we're seeing a truly great drive from Keke Rosberg here, and in fairness, all Prost did was sit in the best car in the race and just steer it through the traffic, because in South Africa, overtaking is very easy, and he did a very, very good job with the car he got, but he didn't do anything special. But this is special, what we're seeing from Rosberg. This is really something. On a circuit where you can't overtake, he's absolutely flying. He's already pulled 8 seconds on Niki Lauda, and he could really be challenging for the front if he can keep this going, as long as he's looked after his tyres and everything.
The interesting thing is going to be what is the gap between Warwick and Rosberg, because if it's closing and Rosberg can get ahead of these 2 cars in front of him, it's more than conceivable that the Finnish driver will be able to challenge Michele Alboreto before the race is over. And I'll tell you that the gap at the present minute between Warwick in 2nd place and Rosberg is 22 seconds, as Boutsen's car is definitely pushed into the pits and out of the race. And there are the 6th, 7th and 8th men. De Angelis in the JPS Lotus, Chiva just to the right of your picture, and Keke Rosberg that you're looking at. De Angelis 6th, Chiva 7th, Rosberg 8th. And Rosberg is really harrying Eddie Chiva now for 7th position. He's come up on this very demanding circuit from the last place on the grid to 8th position.
Yes, he's got one particularly good place each lap, and that's the chicane immediately before the pits, which they're coming to. They've got this hairpin now, little kink, and then the corner where his car seems to have... But look at his right front tyre. His right front tyre would appear to certainly to be very scuffed, if not blistered. So what we may see is the end at some stage of Rosberg's run. But of course, remember, he'll have another set of the pits waiting for him, and this time he didn't get the speed through there. He appeared to lose ground, and that was his specialist spot. Let's watch him for another lap. But I think that Rosberg might just be running into front tyre troubles, which would be a crite. Now, that is where the right front gets a big lean, and he certainly wasn't quick through that one.
And the gap is increasing between Warwick and Rosberg. Warwick, who is second, and Keke Rosberg, who is eighth. It's now 23 seconds, but it's because De Angelis and Chiva are holding the Finn up. The position now on lap 22, as Rosberg again challenges, and this time goes through. Keke Rosberg takes Chiva, who fights back, but Rosberg slams the door in his face, and he's gone up to 7th position. And now, on lap 22, it is still Alboreto leading, Warwick second, Arnoux third, Winkelhock fourth, Piquet fifth, De Angelis sixth, Rosberg seventh, Chiva eighth.
And here we see it again. Now Rosberg came through on the outside for the next corner, and they had really quite a scrap. I think Chiva was retaliating in a situation where he really was beaten. Seemed a bit unnecessary, but still it was made jolly good entertainment, and both drivers emerged unscathed. Rosberg was well clear. He got it right out of the previous corner. They would out-accelerate him. So now, can Rosberg look after his tyres enough to keep this stunning performance going? But I think he's struggling a bit now. He doesn't seem to have quite the same superiority in grip and handling that he had 10 laps ago, or even 5 laps ago.
And behind this great battle for 6th, 7th and 8th positions, Martin Brundle has moved ahead of his Tyrrell teammate Stefan Bellof to 14th position. Nigel Mansell, you know, is out of the race. Jonathan Palmer in the Ram with its Hart engine is in 18th position in the race.
Now, if I was Rosberg and if I was in tyre trouble, I think, unless there was a good reason not to, I'd go to the pits right now, because he's stuck in traffic, so he's not going to gain any ground. And if he puts on his new tyres now, he'll come out with the back markers again, who are easier to pass than the front men, and he has a very good chance that he'll be passing the front men while they're in the pits, so he won't have to physically overtake them. And I think that if he's thinking as well as he's driving, unless, as I say, he's got a factor which I don't know about, which is quite possible, that says to him that he can't come into the pits yet. But as I think now would definitely be the time for Rosberg to come with his obvious right front tyre trouble.
And there's Piquet has moved up to 4th position ahead of Winkelhock and just behind René Arnoux. So Nelson Piquet, who had a pretty dreadful practice because he qualified in 9th position, which is very low for him, has now moved up ahead of Manfred Winkelhock into 4th place. Piquet in the Brabham BMW, and you're looking at Winkelhock in the ATS BMW. And there is Piquet chasing René Arnoux for 3rd position. Arnoux 3rd, Piquet 4th, Winkelhock is in 5th position. Then it's De Angelis, then it's Rosberg 7th and Eddie Chiva 8th. And Michele Alboreto, of course, is still some 6 seconds ahead of Derek Warwick on lap 24 in 2nd position. Piquet there, 4th place. And it looks as though Winkelhock has got some sort of problem. Maybe his tyres are going off. Meantime, Stefan Bellof, who's having a terrific scrap for 13th place with Martin Brundle, has regained that position. So the Englishman in the Tyrrell's gone down 1 place, and Jonathan Palmer is still in 18th position. Lap 25. Alboreto leads, Warwick second. This is the battle for 3rd. Ferrari versus Brabham, Arnoux versus Piquet. Frenchman versus Brazilian. And Piquet's definitely gaining. Look at this! Superb! Nelson Piquet on lap 25 takes René Arnoux and 3rd position, and the Frenchman is dropping back, and now they're all closing up, because with Piquet to 3rd position, with Arnoux 4th, Winkelhock 5th.
Yes, and that was just a marvellous piece of opportunist overtaking from Nelson Piquet. Very brave, too. Piquet, for all his great skills and everything, and there's very few mistakes he makes, got plenty of bravery as well. He's really charging. And that is Warwick in the pits. Tambay?
Patrick Tambay in the pits, the first of the lead drivers, or the drivers who are within the first dozen, to change his tyres. getting up to racing speed. Patrick Tambay, and the way to tell the Frenchman's Renault from Derek Warwick's, because the helmets look the same, that Tambay's car has a red flash on the rear tail, on the tail, and Derek Warwick has a blue. And Keke Rosberg now is right up with Manfred Winkelhock, who is in 5th position, and into the pits comes René Arnoux in 3rd position. And they were changing tyres in practice this morning in 7 seconds, and it looks as though they're not going to do it this time. Arnoux, who was in 4th position, having just been taken by Nelson Piquet, is having a very slow pit stop. It should only take about 8 seconds at the most from stationary to moving again, and that was a 19-second pit stop. It will have lost René Arnoux quite a few places. He rejoins on lap 26, the order being Michele Alboreto leading. Warwick is in 2nd place. Up to 3rd position now was Nelson Piquet. So now to 4th is Winkelhock, chased by Rosberg, Chiva, De Angelis and Niki Lauda, with out of the race Riccardo Patrese, Prost, Boutsen, Mansell and Lafitte. René Arnoux, having rejoined the circuit after his pit stop for tyres. On his own on the circuit. Where he is in relation to the others, I don't know until the rest of them come through at the end of the lap. But he's obviously lost a good few places, but he's still his teammate Michele Alboreto in the lead. Now, I say again, there is Alboreto. I say again, don't forget that Alboreto may be coming in to change tyres, and I think the may is much more likely to be almost certainly now that we've seen Arnoux come in. It seems unlikely to me that the Ferraris will be racing on different compounds, one of which would last longer than the other, and if they were, I wouldn't have expected Alboreto to be in the lead by as much as he was. And if Alboreto here in the lead on lap 28 out of 70 does come in to change his Michelin his Goodyear tyres, and there is De Angelis walking in, that means to say that Derek Warwick would take the lead. My apologies, it looked like De Angelis, it is not. It is Francois Hainaut, the Frenchman, the Ligier driver in his first season of Grand-Prix racing, and that's a Williams parked by the side of the circuit there. Lafitte's car that you saw go out of the race some time ago, being pushed by the marshals. Now here is Alboreto. As we look at Michele Alboreto on lap 28 out of 70, he leads from Derek Warwick, 2nd. In 3rd position, Nelson Piquet. In 4th position, Keke Rosberg. In 5th place, it is Eddie Cheever. In 6th position now, it is Manfred Winkelhock. And in 7th place, Elio De Angelis. 8th is Niki Lauda. In 9th position was Francois Hainaut, who is now out of the race, which means to say that Stefan Belov is 9th and Martin Brundle is in 10th position, and the Tyrrells could move up further in the race order before this race finishes. You're watching Michele Alboreto in the lead on lap 29. There is Derek Warwick, 2nd. Closing up on Mauro Baldi in the Spirit, who is in 17th position. Is Baldi going to let Derek Warwick through? Yes.
We thought Rosberg was in tyre trouble, and maybe I'll have to eat my words, because he's been catching Nelson Piquet pretty fast, and he's now very much in striking distance, challenging Piquet for 3rd place.
2 seconds between them, and that is Cheever. Eddie Cheever out of the race in his Alfa Romeo, and the American was in 5th position. Oh, very unhappy Eddie Cheever. He had a dreadful season with Renault last year. He had an enormous number of retirements. He moved to Alfa Romeo in the hope that things would improve. And as you notice from his gestures, he is obviously a very frustrated man, and justifiably so, as the marshals. And by the way, there are 46 British marshals here today from the British Racing and Sports Car Club from Brands Hatch. And they are a welcome addition to the Belgian marshals. And Eddie Cheever, unconcerned about that. That chap in the background doesn't seem to be very concerned about anything as Cheever walks past him. Well, lap 30 now. There's Piquet, and look at Rosberg. This is the battle now for third position on the 30th lap, and Keke Rosberg in the Williams Honda has come through from 26th and last position at the beginning of the race to an incredible 4th place on this Zolder circuit, which is renowned to be not only one of the hardest there is on cars, but one of the hardest of all to pass on. And Rosberg has passed, well, 22 people. Alboreto leads, Warwick second. This is the battle for third between world champion Nelson Piquet in the Brabham BMW and the 1982 world champion Keke Rosberg in the Williams Honda.
Yes, I'm just trying to have a look at the right front tyre on Rosberg's car, and I think it looks as if, well, obviously, I said it was either scuffing or blistering before. If it's blistering, it doesn't clear up, and the tyre is damaged and doesn't recover. But it looks now. This is where we get the best shot of it, and we think we do. No, we just. Yes, it's still scuffed across half the face, from the inside shoulder to halfway across the tread width, and which I think is an improved situation. It was more scuffed in the middle before, and sometimes as the tyre wears, it takes the scuffing off and recovers again. And this, I think, is what would appear to have happened with Keke, and he's going absolutely fine. He's having a look down the inside now, but he wasn't quite right. Coming into that corner at something like 150 to 160 miles an hour, despite what a short straight it is before that. So he's got to get everything absolutely right before you start doing anything too fanciful there.
Into the pits comes Niki Lauda in 7th position. Start the stopwatch. 7 seconds is what it was taking them to change 4 tyres and wheels in practice. Up go the hammers, off goes Lauda. 9.6 seconds. A very good pit stop in racing conditions. We rejoin to see Piquet holding off Keke Rosberg, who is 4th. And the gap between Warwick, who is 2nd, and Piquet and Rosberg is still 23 seconds. So Alboreto is holding his 1st place from Warwick, and Warwick is holding his 2nd place from these two.
Mary, I should explain what you said about racing conditions, because people at home probably don't realise how important that is. When these teams practice pit stops with the car in the pits and in the garage, everything is cold, and it's much easier to do. You don't get things stuck on. When the brakes are right by the wheels, but the actual temperature of the metal in the wheels is probably anything up to 200 degrees centigrade. And the same with the hubs, and the tyres are running at something like, well, about 240 degrees Fahrenheit on their tread. So everything in that area is absolutely red hot, and it makes it very difficult to handle for the mechanics, and of course the big chance of things getting jammed on, because there are different metals used in the wheels, and so sometimes they expand at different rates, and therefore cause jamming. So it's very, very different doing it in racing conditions than knocking off 6.5, 7 second stops in the garage.
The battle between Piquet and Rosberg for 3rd position. And whilst we watch this, think on this. The incredible Tyrrells of Stefan Beloff and Martin Brundle. The unsponsored Tyrrells are now up to 8th and 10th positions, although Martin Brundle seems to be slowing a bit. Lap 33, just about half distance.
And I think, was that Piquet making a mistake? It was indeed. Piquet went wide at the hairpin, slid off, lost traction, and he's let Rosberg through. And that's a terrible mistake by Piquet, because I don't think he's going to catch Keke now. He's been hounding him for several laps. That was probably caused by the pressure. I say it was a terrible mistake. It was a mistake that cost him his place for the time being. I think Keke would have got him later, but probably because he was fighting Keke's superior speed, he just overstepped the mark a tiny bit. And that puts Keke Rosberg up into third place, and he's got something like 20 seconds or a little bit more to close on Derek Warwick. So now we're just going to have to sit back for a couple of laps, put a watch on it, and see how he gets on. Bearing in mind, of course, that Keke hasn't yet stopped, and that Derek Warwick is planning not to stop, but I suspect, or rather, if I was asked to hazard a guess, I would say that that was rather ambitious, and I think there's a very good chance that he will end up stopping. I think he's favourite to stop. But Piquet, I think, is going steadily. I think it's just that Rosberg is absolutely flying.
And Keke Rosberg is now up with Tombe as Warwick comes into the pit in second position. This we did not expect. This is lap 34. Derek Warwick stops. Remember that Piquet's his pit stop was about 9.6 seconds. How is the Renault team going to compare? Well, 2 seconds longer. Warwick rushes out of the pit, and he's going to be bearing in mind the fact that he's got to work up to racing speed on cold tyres now. It means to say that Rosberg in third position is going to close on him, with Piquet behind him in fourth position. And
I think I saw Rosberg just slip through. There is Rosberg, yes. And Rosberg slipped through we just saw him go by as Derek was coming out of the pit. But bear in mind, of course, that Rosberg still has to make his stop, and that Derek now is on fresh rubber.
And this is where the race is really going to come alive, and we may well get a lot of changes, because as you can see, drivers are into the pits. That is Winkelhock, who was in fifth position, has come into the pits for a very long pit stop. I'm not aware of his team having done much practice, and it certainly showed there in comparison with the Brabham, the Renault and the other teams. And there is Tombe, and Tombe, having come in, is well down in 15th position. And now on lap 34, it is still in the lead Alboreto, second is still Warwick, third, as you know, is Keke Rosberg, fourth is Piquet, fifth De Angelis, sixth Winkelhock, seventh De Cesaris, eighth Belloff, ninth Farby, 10th Brundle, 11th Arnoux, and in 12th position Niki Lauda. Keke Rosberg now up, of course, into second place. We just caught a glimpse of him passing Derek Warwick, and the incredible world champion of 1982, the Finn Keke Rosberg, has moved from 26th to second place in 34 laps. And that's just under half distance. We are now on the half distance, lap 35 in this 70-lap race.
Yes, despite the fact that Keke's right front seems to be all right, I still in a way stand by the tactical comment that I made, and I really think he should stop now. I don't think there's any future for him soldiering round out there on unless of course he's trying to do the race without, and there's always that possibility. But if he's not, it would be tactically wrong, I think, because worn rubber is not as fast as fresh rubber. Warwick's got fresh rubber on. He's got it warm now. He'll be getting the hang of the track, and Keke might as well get in and get it over and done with, and get out and get racing off some fresh rubber where he can lap quicker. But he's still, if he has stopped, he'll still have a big deficit to chase Warwick from behind.
And you're looking at Teo Farby, who is in 8th position and is being caught by Michele Alboreto, the race leader. And he's lapped everybody, therefore, up to 8th position. He's now lapped everybody up to 7th position, and there is Martin Brundle behind Teo Farby. Lap 36, just over half distance, and number 27 in the red Ferrari, Michele Alboreto, who has led from the time the lights went to green, is still in the lead. And off he Incredible. Off goes Alboreto. Now that could mean that his tyres are greening and are going off, and that Alboreto will have to come into the pits in the lead.
I want another look at the back of his car, because as he drove away at least, I thought I saw something possibly hanging on the rear suspension. Now, look at him, slides wide, he gets onto the slippery stuff. Now, he's bumped over the curb there, and that could have damaged his bottom right rear wishbone. Now, as the picture clears, now, have a look by his right... No, it's an optical illusion. I think it looked solid, or what I thought was something off wasn't. So, let's hope he's undamaged it. Now, he still has enough of a lead that he could get into the pits and get out again, but even before Rosberg arrives, who we imagine is going to stop himself. And he's got a huge lead on Derek Warwick of over 50 seconds, or approximately 50 seconds, before he went and lost a bit of time now, but it wouldn't be more than a couple of seconds. So, let's have a look, see if he's heading up towards the pit entrance right now. He's not bothering to go in, he's staying out for another lap, at least another lap. We don't know. Ferrari were very unforthcoming about what the tyres they were running, and we don't really know whether he's running a compound that he thinks he'll be able to do the race on or not, although I would somehow doubt it with his when one saw his early speed. I don't think that could have been a very hard compounded tyre.
We've made some remarks about the fact that the Goodyear tyres weren't as good as the Michelin this year. Well, that certainly isn't the case in this race, because Alboreto, of course, is on the Goodyear tyre. He's led all the way. This is lap 37. You're looking at the race leader, Alboreto, who's got a substantial lead over Keke Rosberg, who is in second place in the Williams Honda. And in fact, the exact lead is 43.8 seconds. So Rosberg is actually gaining on Alboreto. And don't forget that it could well be that Alboreto has got some sort of tyre problem. In second place is Keke Rosberg. In third position, it is Derek Warwick. In fourth position, it is Nelson Piquet. Fifth is Elio De Angelis. Sixth now, listen to this, is Stefan Beloff in the Tyrrell. In seventh position, it is Theo Fabi. In eighth position, it is Brundle. And there is Brundle in eighth position, who is about to be lapped by the race leader, Michele Alboreto. The Tyrrells are really coming up through the field, as Ken Tyrrell prophesied they would. He said if there is one circuit where the Tyrrells are going to do really well this year with their problem of much less powerful engines, it is Zolder, because their nimbleness and their lightness really suits this circuit. So, Michele Alboreto in the lead Ferrari, now on lap 39, leading Keke Rosberg and closing up on Martin Brundle in 8th position, and Stefan Beloff, the West German driver in the second of the unsponsored Tyrrells, is in 6th place and in the World Championship points table. Alboreto. That's Arnoux, of course, is a lap behind, and Brundle being ever increasingly caught, not surprisingly, by Alboreto, as Theo Fabi goes through in the Brabham, and Brundle is right with Fabi, who is 7th.
Now there comes Alboreto. Finally, and at last, Alboreto has come into the pit. And I was just about to say, I thought probably he wasn't coming, because I cannot see the logic in the thinking of anybody in this day and age stopping after half distance, which we've already passed. We'll watch his pit stop, then I'll explain why. We're on lap 40. Let's have a look-see. We're already getting up towards the 10 seconds and past, but it's not bad. Anything close to 10 seconds is pretty good in this day and age, and anyway, let's face it, Alboreto's got an awful lot of time to play with. But I'll explain that. It's not clever. You're not saving anything up by stopping after half distance. The reasons for this are two. Your tyre wear in the first half of the race is much greater, and the stress on the tyres, than that in the second half of the race. And that, for two reasons. First of all, because the cars are much heavier, they're full of fuel, and by half distance they've used half of it, which makes an enormous weight difference, a percentage weight difference to the car. And secondly, that the track picks up rubber as the tyres wear it out and lay it down on the track, and it becomes what we call softer, which means that it's less abrasive to the tyres anyway, and in fact stickier. And there's Rosberg just diving past one of the tail enders there, lapping another car, and still surging around. Now he hasn't changed. Therefore, the tyres are going to wear a lot faster in the first half of the race. Why not come in at 1/3 distance instead of half distance? Because also, when you put the new set on, they work better. And so I seriously question the judgment of teams to bring their drivers in after half distance. It makes not the slightest sense to me.
Dr. Jonathan Palmer being caught and passed and lapped by Keke Rosberg, who had closed the gap between himself and Michele Alboreto to 21 seconds as Alboreto drove out of the pits. A bit misleading, that, actually, because don't forget that Rosberg has not been in for tyres, and as far as we know, it was the Williams team's intention to bring him in. And Jonathan Palmer is in 15th position now. We are on lap 41, and another 30 laps to go. And so it's Alboreto leading, Rosberg second, Derek Warwick is third now, Nelson Piquet is fourth, De Angelis is fifth, Beloff is sixth, Barbie is seventh, and Brundle is eighth.
Well, with Frank in charge of judgment, one has to presume that Keke isn't coming in for tyres, because otherwise he wouldn't come in so late. And that's Winkelhock limping down slowly. It looks mechanical, I think his engine or something like that, and he looks like that's the end of his day's work. And Niki Lauda, we hear, stopped with a broken engine.
So that means to say that both the World Championship leaders are out of the race. Alain Prost long since, and now Niki Lauda. Indeed, the retirements are building up.
It must be a tactical ploy by the Williams team, by Frank then, because I see the Williams mechanics getting ready, just looking across at the pit road. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's coming in, because these teams nowadays, they stay in a state of readiness throughout the race, but you can look down at them and you see them getting sort of specially ready if they're expecting the driver in, obviously, and there's the whole area is cleared and ready, so I think maybe Keke's coming in. So there may be some special tactical reason for Frank to make this a late pit stop, but Keke's actually stayed out for one more lap because he's just gone past us.
Out went the signal board with a signal I don't understand on it. But on lap 42 now, it is still Alboreto leading. It is still Keke Rosberg in second place. It is still Derek Warwick in third, ahead of Nelson Piquet, who is fourth.
See, with the swap of tyres, whereas Rosberg was catching Derek Warwick when he wasn't having traffic problems before the pit stop, since the pit stop, Warwick has kept the gap constant, which means that relatively Warwick is now going faster. And the reason he's going faster is because he's got new tyres on. So why has Rosberg not gone in a lot earlier and put his on, so he'd be going faster still?
Elio De Angelis is right up to Derek Warwick there. And Derek Warwick, number 16, is in third position. So, lap 42 completed by the leader, Alboreto. Keke Rosberg, we're wondering whether he's going to be coming in for tyres as Tombay goes through, chased by De Angelis. Still Warwick third, still Piquet fourth, still De Angelis fifth, and there he is. Beloff right with De Angelis. Stefan Beloff in sixth position in the Tyrrell. There he is chasing De Angelis, and he ducks behind De Angelis as the Roman tucks into the left-hander there, and you could well be seeing a change for fifth position shortly. Look at this, De Angelis in the black and gold JPS Lotus, and in the black, red and yellow Tyrrell, Stefan Beloff. He's in the World Championship points at the moment, 1 point for sixth position, which is where he is if he finished there. But he's obviously determined to do better than that, harrying Elio De Angelis, fifth position. Ahead of De Angelis, Piquet, fourth. Warwick, third. Rosberg, second. Alboreto leads.
Yes, terrible struggle for Beloff, though, because with the power disadvantage that he's got, which is quite considerable, he just loses so much ground on the straight to make it up under braking really is just not really on. He has to catch it up all in the corners, by which time it's too late because the car in front just squirts it and disappears again down the straight. So it's a real problem for him to pass anybody.
The car ahead of these two is Patrick Tombay, the Frenchman, in the second of the two Renaults. He's in 12th place, a lap adrift, the leaders. And into the pits now comes Keke Rosberg for his anticipated pit stop in second place on lap 44. Patrick Head bends over. The car designer speaks briefly to Keke Rosberg. The hammers hammer, the wheels come off. Keke Rosberg sits impassively there. It's a rather longish pit stop compared with some of the others. 15.7 seconds. The Honda turbo engine rumbles as Rosberg drives out, and he should still be in second position. Alboreto leading has made his tyre stop. Rosberg in second has made his tyre stop. Warwick has made his tyre stop. Piquet is in fourth position. De Angelis fifth, Vellov sixth, right with the JPS Lotus. And here's Rosberg up to racing speed, chased by Senna. That's René Arnoux, and I don't know which car that is. One pulling off to the side, looks like a Ligier, and one tucked into the side with fire marshals running. Obviously the fire extinguishers have been used. That creates a cloud of extinguisher foam.
Well, there seemed to have been an accident. That tyre wall is all torn apart, and it's on the other side of the track. No, that's one car who may have hit it. It looks damaged the way it was limping. There was a car off on the left of the track. So it looks, anyway, as if there's been some sort of accident there. Although, judging from the way the tyre wall, I would think it's just about off. And the fire extinguisher is probably more precautionary than a fire. What I can see, at a glance, it doesn't look too serious.
And it looks to me like one of the Ligiers which has gone off, in which case it must be De Cesaris with Arnoux already out of the race, but we don't know that for certain and we'll confirm as soon as we can. That's Martin Brundle in 8th position in the blue car. Now we look at Rosberg. Brundle is right up with Arnoux, who is 7th, behind Vellov, who is 6th, De Angelis 5th, Piquet 4th, Warwick 3rd, and Rosberg in 2nd position. The leader, Michele Alboreto, the lap 45. Jonathan Palmer in the Ram with its Hart turbo engine into the pits for a change of his Pirelli tyres. Palmer just qualified. He had all sorts of problems in the practice period. His teammate Philippe Alliot failed to qualify because he had a broken turbo in the very last stages of practice. And as you can see, there looks like a problem with the left front and the right front. They can't get the nut on, and poor Jonathan must be fuming with frustration there as he sits in the ring.
Erschöpften, übermüdeten Mechanikern eines Privatteams. Fast 40 Sekunden der Boxenhalt von Jonathan Palmer. Rosberg, Senna, Arnoux und dahinter Brundle. Ich habe vorhin richtig gesehen, dass De Cesaris und Vellov in diesen Unfall verwickelt waren. Nein, Vellov kommt jetzt gerade wieder an Start und Ziel vorbei, aber De Cesaris fehlt. Ich sage Ihnen warum. Der deutsche Winkelhock ausgeschieden ist, elektrischer Defekt. Der Motor hat blockiert. Rechts im Bild, ja, das ist der Ligier von Andrea De Cesaris. Rosberg ist nach seinem Boxenhalt jetzt bereits wieder Sechster. Ja, Vellov muss Fünfter sein. So, 3 und also jetzt nach der 46. Runde. 25 Runden vor Schluss des Rennens. Knapp nach 2 Drittel der Distanz. Erster hier im Bild, Michele Alboreto Ferrari. Zweiter Derek Warwick, 29 Sekunden zurück. Dritter Nelson Piquet, 46. Vierter Elio De Angelis, 52. Ganz knapp vor Stefan Velow. Dann sechster Keke Rosberg, 58 Sekunden Rückstand. Siebenter René Arnoux, 1 Minute. Achter Martin Brandl, 1 Minute 2. Neunter Marc Surer. 10. Patrick Tambay und 11. Ayrton Senna, jeder eine Runde zurück. Wenn Alboreto gewinnt, dann sehen wir heute den ersten Start-Zielsieg in der Formel 1 seit René Arnoux 1982 gewonnen hat. Start-Zielsiege sind voriges Jahr fast unmöglich geworden aufgrund der vielen Boxenhalte, aufgrund der neuen Boxenregie. Sie wissen ja, die Tankstops, die verschiedenen Variationen der Renntaktik, entweder früher oder später an die Box zu kommen, zum Tank oder zum Reifenwechseln. Dadurch hat sich das Bild eines Rennens immer wieder verschoben. Die erste Niederlage für McLaren in dieser Saison ist längst Gewissheit. Beide ausgeschieden. Schnellste Runde bis jetzt Michele Alboreto mit 1:20,72. Vielleicht war Fabi der Fahrer, der in die Kollision mit De Cedris verwickelt war, denn hier haben Sie es noch einmal gehabt, im Bild der deutsche Stefan Velow. Surer gegen Velow. Surer mit einer Runde Rückstand, 9. Großartige Talentprobe des jungen Deutschen. Er muss in der Nähe der Karambolage gewesen sein, weil er unmittelbar hinter dem überrundeten De Cedris gelegen ist. Ich glaube aber, dass gleichzeitig mit De Cedris der Italiener Theo Fabi mit dem Primetime ausgeschieden ist. So, und langsam interessiert uns die Frage, reicht in den einzelnen Rennautos der Sprit? Rechts der Vigé von De Cedris, links, ich kann das nicht genau sehen, aber ich glaube, der Bremshelm von Theo Fabi. Alboreto, Warwick, Piquet, De Angelis, Velow und Rosberg. Rosberg holt allerdings auf Velow auf. Sie sehen, er ist bereits unmittelbar hinter dem deutschen Tyrrell-Fahrer. Interessant, dass der Österreicher Jo Gartner die Möglichkeit gehabt hätte, diesen Tyrrell zu fahren. Das erste Angebot von Tyrrell war $2 Millionen, das natürlich nicht ernst zu nehmen war. Aber Gartner war so abgeschreckt, dass man nicht einmal um Testfahrten ersucht hat, was Velow getan hat. Und weil er so gut war, hat er dann auch diesen zweiten Teamplatz bekommen. Teamkollege Martin Brandl ist 8. Alboreto, dann Baldi mit 3 Runden Rückstand an 12. Stelle. Hoffnungslos abgeschlagen. Dr. Palmer, 13. Genau 13 noch im Rennen, 50% also bereits ausgeschieden. Darunter auch leider Niki Lauda. In der 50. Runde führt Alboreto 28 Sekunden vor Warwick, 48 vor Piquet, 55 vor De Angelis, 59 vor Velow, der jetzt gleich von Rosberg überholt wird. Piquet fährt seiner ersten Zielankunft 1984 entgegen. Und Alboreto vielleicht der erste Start-Zielsieger seit 2 Jahren. Ferrari hat die Autos für Zolder umgebaut, statt elektronisch jetzt mechanische Benzineinspritzung. Grand Prix-Siege bereits für Ferrari. Vielleicht wird heute der 89. im 45. Grand Prix von Michele Alboreto. Alboreto hat heuer viel Pech gehabt. Bremsdefekt in Brasilien, Defekt in der Spritzufuhr in Cialami. So, Rosberg und der führende Alboreto und Arnoux, Entschuldigung, kommen immer näher an Belov heran. Belov wird sich gegen die beiden Turbofahrer unmöglich lange zur Wehr setzen können. Die Turbofahrzeuge sind jetzt natürlich aufgrund der verringerten Treibstoffmenge lange nicht mehr so schwer an Gewicht wie in der Anfangsphase des Rennens, können damit um einiges schneller fahren. Haben frische Reifen, das heißt, der Arnoux ist schon ziemlich lang. Rosberg hat erst bei ein paar Runden, bei 10 Runden, glaube ich, umgewechselt. De Angelis, 4., Belov noch 5., Rosberg 6., Arnoux 7. Belov war heute im Aufwärmtraining 9. Fährt sein 4. Rennen hier in Zolder nach Formel Ford, Formel 3, Formel 2. Keines davon hat er gewonnen. Das ist nur noch eine Frage der Zeit. Dann rutscht Belov aus den Weltmeisterschaftspunkterängen. Ein 26-jähriger Deutscher aus Gießen. Genau die Mitte Deutschlands, liegt in Hessen. Im Augenblick wird wieder sehr viel Deutsch gesprochen in der Formel 1. Nicht nur wegen Niki Lauda, auch wegen Manfred Winkelhock, Stefan Belov, Marc Surer natürlich. Dazu kommen die Motoren von TAC, von BMW, das deutsche ATS-Team. Sehr viele deutschsprachige Fietmacher auf einmal im Grand Prix-Zirkus. Es gibt sozusagen Willi Dunkel, Epigonen. Hans Matt, der früher mal so im Skiteam war, betreut Winkelhock und das ATS-Team mit Spezialnahrung und durchmassieren. Toni Mattis, der Vorarlberger, kümmert sich am Imola um Keke Rosberg, der sehr starke Schmerzen im rechten Fuß hat, also Durchblutungsstörungen, die sich jetzt wieder heftig bemerkbar machen, weil das Gewicht der Turbofahrzeuge mit Volltanks 220 Liter wesentlich größer ist als noch im vorigen Jahr. Warum haben Rosberg und Arnoux nicht längst schon den 150 PS schwächeren Tyrrell Ford von Belov überholt? Weil sie ein bisschen Benzin sparen und nicht mit dem äußersten Ladedruck fahren. Kostet natürlich PS, spart aber Benzin. Ui, und jetzt war Rosberg fast neben der Piste.
I say that in the hope that I can... Brundle, I was about to say Brundle and hoped desperately that it wasn't, but it's Brundle Tyrrell out of the race. He was in 8th position, having driven a superb race before he went in for his tyres, and it may well be, and I'm guessing, that Martin Brundle started going a bit too quick on cold tyres and he's gone off. But the fact that he's out of the cockpit is a good sign, as Arnoux now is right with the 6th place man, Keke Rosberg. And De Angelis 4th and Belov 5th seem to be pulling away from this battle for 6th position between the white Williams Honda of Keke Rosberg and the scarlet Ferrari of Keke Rosberg. Look at the gap that's increasing. Rosberg, of course, will be trying desperately to ensure that Arnoux does not get past him. In the process, he's losing a bit of time, and Beloff is succeeding in pulling away in the non-turbo Tyrrell as they pass the two stricken cars on the right and left. Rosberg, 6th. Arnoux, 7th. Alboreto leads. Warwick 2nd. Piquet 3rd. De Angelis 4th. Beloff 5th. Torbay is 8th and has been lapped. And the leader has lapped everybody, therefore, up to René Arnoux, his teammate, who is in 7th position. And there he is.
Yes, it's amazing to see the difference in Rosberg since his pit stop as how he was going before. The obvious thought is that he's gone onto a different compound, probably a softer one, in the hope of going faster, and for some reason it's not working as well. But there are other possibilities. I mean, even if changing onto an identical compound of tires, as Arnoux fights his way through, Rosberg definitely struggling on the handling, but Arnoux makes it through into 6th place, into a point-scoring position at the expense of Keke Rosberg. Here we see it again. And Rosberg just squeezed through under braking corner after the pit. But he's been threatening to do that for some laps. But in fact, you can put on an identical compound of tyre in every way, and it just doesn't match up. This can change the handling of the car quite a lot. For example, these tyres expand with centrifugal force as they go, and it makes them expand. You've got to match the set first, otherwise they don't work.
And René Arnoux has now passed Stefan Beloff and is therefore up into 5th place. The Frenchman is charging in the Ferrari. There is Brundle's car being lifted off the circuit, and I think it's at the Bianchi bend, which is where Alan Jones went off in the lead some years ago in his Williams. And Keke Rosberg does not seem to be able to do anything at all about the battle in front of him. And now Arnoux is taking De Angelis and 4th position. So Arnoux has gone from 7th to 4th position very, very quickly indeed. And he's now got Piquet, Warwick and his teammate Alboreto in front of him as Keke Rosberg gets ahead of Beloff and ahead of De Angelis. A sweeping left-right by Rosberg takes him up behind René Arnoux.
That was marvellous opportunism by Keke Rosberg. Here we are, we've got it again. They're all coming. He's got the advantage, obviously, over the Ford-powered Tyrrell car, but he nips in between them. De Angelis is looking the wrong way. He sees that, and he nips down the inside. De Angelis was expecting him to come on the right, and that was just terrific stuff.
So now, on lap 56, it is Alboreto in the lead, Warwick 2nd, Piquet in 3rd position, Arnoux in 4th position and pulling away. In 5th position, Rosberg. In 6th position is De Angelis, there he is. And in 7th place is Stefan Beloff. 8th is Torbay, 1 lap adrift. 9th is Senna in the Tolman. 10th is Mark Sura in the Arrows. 11th now is Mauro Baldi in the Spirit, and that's the highest he's been since he changed teams this year. And in 12th position now, Jonathan Palmer in the Ram Hart. Palmer is 5 laps down, but never mind, he is in 12th position. Rosberg, De Angelis and Beloff. And Michele Alboreto then in the lead. René Arnoux in 4th position. That's going to give them vital points for the Constructors' Championship, and it's going to raise their tails for the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola next weekend. There is only 1 week between the Belgian and the San Marino.
Yes, and there's one major disadvantage about it, Murray. It's going to make an extra 4 hours getting in and out of the circuit for us. There's another 100,000 Italians flock to come and gloat.
Yes, I think we can take it, though. There is Arnoux.
Hang on, the BBC producer just said, I'll get you a helicopter. I hope everybody heard in front of witnesses. We've got a helicopter, Murray. Great.
And that is Michele Alboreto, the race leader, lap 58. 70-lap race. Alboreto must. Well, I'm accused of putting a curse on drivers when I say he must finish in this position because then they immediately retire. But surely Michele Alboreto must win the Belgian Grand Prix, provided he keeps going as he is going. Derek Warwick is charging behind him. That's Tombé's Renault. There is Arnoux. Both of them, of course, have been caught. There is Alboreto again, and you can see the very distinctive lines of the Ferrari C4, and I'll give you the gap between the race leader, Michele Alboreto, and the second place man, Derek Warwick. It was 37 seconds last time we took it. So, as James has said, Alboreto can coast home virtually, provided he just keeps going, because even Derek Warwick, determined as he is not going to close that gap. And by the way, what a super race Derek Warwick has driven. He led in Brazil until a broken front suspension put him out. He finished third in South Africa, and now he's in this position in the Belgian Grand Prix in second place. The gap between Warwick in second place and Alboreto, the leader, is 43 seconds. But nevertheless, Derek Warwick is on his way to 6 points to add to the 4 that he's got already. And that would help him up into second place in the championship table, because Niki Lauda has only got 9, and the unfortunate Mauro Baldi joins the retirees of the Belgian Grand Prix on lap 59. His Spirit part is out of the running, and Arnoux is catching Nelson Piquet. Now, I hope we'll be able to see this, because Arnoux really has got a new lease of life. It's most interesting to see the positions of the drivers in the teams, because Michele Alboreto is certainly the dominant driver in the Ferrari team this year, and Arnoux won't like that one little bit, and will be doing everything he can in this race to close the psychological gap between himself and the Italian. And of course, if Alboreto, an Italian in an Italian Ferrari, wins here at Belgium, the joy of the Italian tifosi at San Marino at Imola next weekend is going to be beyond bounds. There he goes, the race leader, lap 60. Warwick second, Piquet third, with Arnoux right behind him. Rosberg is fifth, De Angelis is sixth, Beloff is seventh. Those are the 7 drivers on the same lap. And look at this, Piquet and Arnoux together, and Piquet is third, Arnoux is fourth. Is Piquet going to move over? I very much doubt it. Arnoux, he's not going to get round there.
Yes, well, Arnoux's really going like a train now. His tyres seem to be working very well indeed, and he's suddenly got his car working like his teammate Alboreto up front. Caught Piquet very fast, and despite all his skill, I don't think that Piquet is going to be able to hold off Arnoux's not inconsiderable skill in a car that's obviously working very much better. But he does have a lot of speed on the straight. That Brabham is very slippery, and the BMW engine is very powerful.
We're on lap 61. Nelson Piquet, the world champion. And Arnoux goes right up alongside and forces Nelson Piquet to one side and moves up into third position on this, the 63rd lap. Look at it again. Round the fast left-hander, Arnoux moves to the right, gets the inside line for the right-hander that follows. Surprisingly, Nelson Piquet did not attempt to close the door, and Arnoux goes through, and Piquet fights back.
And you see Rosberg still very much in the background there. He's very much in touch. He's only 2 or 3 seconds behind that pair. Therefore, if Piquet's in a bit of trouble or having to start to conserve fuel, he's under serious threat from Keke Rosberg. Now, this incidentally is what you see now is an intelligence test. An intelligence test for René Arnoux. Because is he going to go charging on? Obviously he's got to get away and get a little bit of comfort and space himself in front of Piquet, or is he going to try and hold his engine back to conserve fuel over the last few laps. He's got 10 laps to go, or thereabouts, and obviously he won't be able to slow right down, but there's no point at the same time in chasing Derek Warwick.
And there is Keke Rosberg in 5th position. Charged up, he seems to have got going again as Piquet goes through. There is Rosberg in 5th place. There's the world champion in the Brabham BMW. And you can see visually that the gap is closing between Rosberg and Piquet, and Arnoux, the new 3rd place man, is pulling away from the Brabham BMW of Nelson Piquet, and De Angelis is only just a little bit behind Keke Rosberg in 6th position, tailed by Belov 7th.
Yes, this is very much the point. It's really that we don't really want Arnoux to pull away too fast unless he's totally confident he's got enough fuel, and that is Belov into the pits at a very late stage, and it's not tyres.
It's ballast. Now this is very interesting. The Tyrrell is so light that in order to comply with the 520 kilograms minimum weight requirement, it has to come in at the tail end of the race and take on ballast. It's had the big advantage of running very light for the first 62 laps of the race, but Bella just rushed in there, took on some water balance to ensure that when they put his car on the weighbridge, it will be 520 kilograms or more, and I do not think that he lost a place. He was in 7th position. He's a long, long way. Well, he can't have lost a position because Ayrton Senna is now in 8th position, 2 laps behind Belov, and on lap 63, the race order is Michele Alboreto leading Derek Warwick by some 40 seconds, with René Arnoux 3rd, with Nelson Piquet in 4th position there, being caught by Keke Rosberg 5th. Behind them is Elio De Angelis 6th. Stefan Belov, having made his ballast stop, is in 7th place. Those are the 7 competitors on the same lap. Ayrton Senna, a lap adrift, is 8th. Tombay is 9th. Sura is 10th. Jonathan Palmer has moved up to 11th place. And that is about it in terms of cars left still in the running. And as we expected, Zolder has taken its toll of cars.
This is undoubtedly the excitement remaining in what has been really a very good and very interesting race indeed, as Rosberg finally gets right and properly onto Piquet's heels. I think and Rosberg having a little look, he's always ready to have a go just in case, as we've seen on 2 occasions today, quite brilliant cases of opportunist overtaking. He's not close enough now to have a go, but then we get up to the chicane that leads onto the pit straight, and Rosberg's car has been very good there today. Now he's perfectly placed behind Piquet. They're braking now for it, turn in, and he's had very good traction out of this, and a good run, and he's getting good traction again. Now look at that, Rosberg is going to get past him if he can go, but the Brabham is so quick on the straight line. Terrific battle of bravery, and Rosberg's got it.
And he moves up into the 4th position, ahead of Nelson Piquet, behind Arnoux, Warwick and Alboreto on lap 64. Look at it again.
Yes, Rosberg had to fight because the Brabham is so quick, and he was behind him, but he got his car. All he has to do is get alongside from that position, inside line. Piquet has no corner to turn into, so he has to let Rosberg go. And that was terrific stuff. Battle of 2 really great champions, battling it out in very equally matched cars.
Credit where credit is due. The tyre position is there is the leader on the Goodyear tyres that hadn't gone so well until this race. Derek Warwick is in 2nd place on Michelin. Arnoux is 3rd on Goodyear. Now Keke Rosberg is 4th on Goodyear. Piquet is 5th on Michelin, and Elio De Angelis is 6th on Goodyear. And that's Alboreto. Number 27, that famous number. Alan Jones had it, Villeneuve had it, James Hunt had it, now Alboreto has it. The man from Milan in his 44th Grand Prix, 2 of which he has won. He scored no points in the 1984 World Championship so far, having led in Brazil until he had brake caliper trouble, which spun him out of contention. He went out in South Africa, and he is now up to Elio De Angelis, who is in 6th position. And it looks as though, before very much longer, the race leader, Michele Alboreto, is going to lap the 6th place man. And is that trouble? The marshals are gesticulating violently. I can't imagine why. There doesn't seem to be any problem that they could see. De Angelis is right up with, it looks like, Rosberg. Our new fastest so far, 1 minute point 3. Sorry, 1 minute 19.3, which is a new lap record. John Watson held the lap record here from 1982, 1 minute 20.2. So Arnoux is just under a second faster than the previous lap record, and is therefore obviously the fastest man on the track. And the race order on this, the 66th lap, as we look at Alboreto, the leader, catching De Angelis, is Alboreto leading. Warwick is in 2nd place. Arnoux is 3rd and being caught by De Angelis.
Well, is Arnoux in trouble? Because he seems to have fallen right back, and that is Alboreto closing up on him to lap him. So it seems very strange. Maybe he's had a spin. I think because he's definitely dropped back. He's dropped miles back where he was. He was way up in 2nd place, and now he's dropped back to just in front of De Angelis, and they're both about to be lapped. So I can only imagine, and he seems to be perfectly healthy now, so I can only imagine that he's had a spin.
Alboreto leads. Warwick 2nd. Rosberg is in 3rd position now, ahead of Nelson Piquet. 5th is René Arnoux, and 6th is Elio De Angelis, who is about to be caught by Michele Alboreto. We're looking at that now.
Yes, you might remember the intelligence test I was discussing before, and it looks like that René Arnoux failed it, but not in the way that was one predictable route. He just set fastest lap. He was going away from the people in front of him with no chance of catching Warwick for 2nd place. So unless it's something that I don't know about happening, he just had a spin of his own accord. The question is why, and that would appear to be an intelligence failure.
René Arnoux, having sought John Watson to have a personal interview with him about something that John wrote about him, is not going to be very happy at the end of this race, unless he starts going again. There's the race leader. He is on his 68th lap now, very, very close to his 3rd Grand Prix win. 2 of them were for Tyrrell, both of them in America. He won at Las Vegas and he won at Detroit in successive years. And a big spin here, one of the Renaults, it's Derek Warwick. It's Tombe, sorry, it's Tombe. Tombe spun there in 9th position, a lap adrift, and coming up to him now is his teammate behind the white car. Derek Warwick is about to lap his teammate Patrick Tombe, who's had a pretty miserable Belgian Grand Prix. Lap 68, Michele Alboreto, and that's the brabham of Nelson Piquet. So Piquet out of the race once again to score no points. What a dreadful season this is for Nelson Piquet. Fabi, I forgot to tell you, went out some time ago, and Fabi's brabham is one of those 2 cars that are parked. You can see a car on one side of the circuit and one on the other. One of them is a Ligier and the other is Fabi's brabham. So out of the race, as we look at the race leader, Michele Alboreto, on his 68th lap, have gone Patrese, Prost, Boutsen, Mansell, Lafitte, Eno, Cheever, Winkelhock, Lauda, Brundle, Fabi, Baldi, and now Nelson Piquet. So Alboreto leads still by a cool 39 seconds from Derek Warwick, with Keke Rosberg in 3rd position and René Arnoux in 4th position. Up to 5th position now that Piquet is out goes De Angelis, and in 7th place is Stefan Beloff. sixth position is Stefan Beloff in the points again. Thanks to Piquet going out and thanks to an absolutely superb drive. Martin Brundle has had to retire from a Grand Prix for the first time. He finished in Brazil, he finished in South Africa, but he was destined not to finish here in Belgium. And there's a problem. It looks to me as though Piquet's, maybe his gearbox is locked up, but for some reason or another, the marshals, there's Piquet, can't get his car off the circuit. Piquet looking a bit mystified about it, but giving some cheerful advice. It's a great tribute to Nelson, who used to be a bit mercurial, that he has really settled down in the last few seasons and can certainly take adversity with a smile, that he did so there. And there goes Michele Alboreto across the line on, as you see, his last lap. This is lap 70 in this shortened by 1 lap Belgian Grand Prix, because the warm-up lap was included with the originally intended 71 laps. And you are looking at a man who has driven an absolutely superb race. He qualified in pole position after practice. He confirmed his promise by being fastest in the warm-up lap. He has brought Ferrari to the forefront again.
Yes, that's Alboreto for the first time really in the top team. Not that that's only his first on film, for whom he won 2 Grand Prix quite brilliantly, but they couldn't provide him with the car that both they wanted to provide him and he wanted. Now, he's for the first time confirming the really exceptional talent he has. He's poised, he makes no mistakes, he's thoroughly un-Italian, if I might put it like that, in the way he drives and his approach, and he's driven an absolutely flawless and immaculate race today. And then we must say that Derek Warwick also has driven absolutely marvellously. He's had a jolly good meeting all weekend, and I think I'm right in saying that this could put him in the 2nd place in the championship if he can just finish out this final lap in one piece. And that's marvellous news for all British fans, particularly those of us who were very confident, as Alboreto takes the line, that Derek Warwick would make a great account of himself in a proper car.
Michele Alboreto has won his 3rd Grand Prix and his first for Ferrari, confirming that we have a truly great Italian driver back in the Ferrari team again. Something that Enzo Ferrari resisted for a long time due to the criticism that he takes from the very vociferous Italian media if anything goes wrong with an Italian driver. And we look now at Derek Warwick coming home in 2nd position in the Renault, which, subject to our being able to add up all the other points quickly, will take him into 2nd place in the World Championship. Derek Warwick 2nd then, as we look down at Michele Alboreto, and we wait now for Keke Rosberg to come home in 3rd position in the Williams Honda. Another magnificent drive, in its way even better than that of the race winner Michele. And look at this! This is Rosberg! This is Rosberg coasting and retiring on the last lap. My goodness, another sensational development in the closing stages of a Grand Prix. Keke Rosberg not finishing, and that means to say that René Arnoux is going to finish in 3rd position, and only the first 3 will have completed the full race distance, with Elio De Angelis in 4th position, Stefan Beloff in 5th place, and Ayrton Senna should come up into 6th position. Again, there is Ayrton Senna. He's finished the race because he was 2 laps behind. But with that sensational closing news and confirmation awaited, certainly Alboreto has won. Warwick 2nd, Arnoux 3rd, De Angelis in 4th position, and, sorry, let's say that again, Alboreto the winner, Warwick 2nd, Arnoux 3rd, Rosberg 4th, De Angelis 5th, Beloff in 6th position, scoring a point for Tyrrell.
Senna, 8e Tambay, 9e Sourer. Puis 10e ici Bernie Eccleston que vous voyez. Puis 10e Piquet, 11e Palmer. Et voilà, 11 concurrents. Voilà, une petite mallette, on vous dira pas, c'est la pleine de dollars ou de francs belges, mais c'est la mallette de Bernie Eccleston. Et c'est vraiment une fin de course qui nous laisse un petit peu je ne veux pas dire désemparé, mais tout de même extrêmement surpris, car les incidents, les coups de théâtre n'auront pas manqué. Les principales victimes auront été Nelson Piquet et Keke Rosberg, qui a perdu, certes il n'a perdu qu'un rang, mais tout de même il perd un podium. Lui qui a été un des grands animateurs de ce sensationnel Grand Prix de Belgique, qui a donc compté 70 tours. Il faut dire que on nous aura probablement indiqué, comme il y a des questions de réservoir et de consommation, le tour de chauffe dans les 71, mais tout nous annonçait 71 tours, ça n'a pas grande importance. Au championnat du monde, Prost reste en tête avec 15 points. Warwick en a 10 avec 9 points. Lauda, Alboreto, Rosberg. De Angelis 6e avec 6 points. Puis Arnoux 4, Patrese 3, Chiver 2, Chiver 3, Brundle 2, Tambay, De Cesaris en a 2 aussi. Tambay et Senna avec 1 point. Voilà pour cette course qui aura été d'une rare intensité. C'est un peu ce qu'on a tendance à dire après chaque épreuve. On l'a dit après l'Afrique du Sud. On le répète sans honte aujourd'hui et même avec grand plaisir, car le spectacle proposé dans cette saison qui ne fait que débuter, puisque nous sommes au 3e Grand Prix et au premier de la saison européenne, ce spectacle tient absolument toutes ses promesses, tant au niveau des machines, tant au niveau des moteurs, tant au niveau des pilotes qui font de ce championnat du monde 1984 sans aucun doute une très grande cuvée. Au classement du championnat du monde des constructeurs, McLaren, qui ne marque pas de points aujourd'hui, reste en tête, mais son avance diminue sur Ferrari qui en totalise 13, 9 et 4 aujourd'hui. Et puis on va tout de même vous brosser un petit portrait d'Alboreto que l'on va voir, je pense, venir bientôt sur le podium où l'attend déjà le prince de Metternich, le président de la Fédération internationale de l'automobile. Michele Alboreto qui dispute aujourd'hui le 43e Grand Prix de sa carrière, 44e Grand Prix de sa carrière, j'en perds ma voix, et qui remporte la 3e victoire de sa carrière. Il ne faut pas oublier qu'il s'était imposé à Las Vegas en 82 et à Détroit l'an dernier, mais c'était sur Tyrrell. C'est donc sa première victoire sur Ferrari pour Michele Alboreto, un pilote de très grand talent. Et ce que l'on retiendra surtout, c'est qu'il est le premier Italien depuis Scarfiotti en 1966. Il est le premier Italien à s'imposer en Grand Prix au volant d'une Ferrari. De là à vous dire qu'un nouveau demi-dieu, voire même qu'un nouveau dieu du sport est né en Italie, la chose est certaine. On revoit le ralenti, un ralenti du tour d'honneur de Michele Alboreto. Et c'est une victoire que le commendateur appréciera sans doute, d'autant plus qu'elle s'est déroulée 2 ans exactement après que le pilote Gilles Villeneuve ait trouvé la mort ici même sur ce circuit de Zolder. Alors, vous voyez que les notables du sport automobile mondial et belge attendent Alboreto. Warwick et Arnoux dans les voitures sont au parc fermé. J'espère qu'on n'a pas enfermé les pilotes également. Cela me permet de vous rappeler le classement. Alboreto en tête devant Warwick. 3e René Arnoux, 4e Rosberg, 5e De Angelis, 6e Bellof, 7e Senna, 8e Tambay, 9e Marc Sourer, une nouvelle 9e place pour Marc Sourer et une nouvelle fois l'arrivée victorieuse d'Alboreto. Alors sur cette voiture et à l'intérieur de celle-ci, il n'y a que les pneus qui ne soient pas italiens puisqu'ils sont américains. Mais cela, les Italiens n'auront aucune peine à l'oublier. Tandis que devant moi, on ramène la voiture de Lafitte, victime d'un tête à queue. Et cette image d'Alboreto et le podium. Alors un hélicoptère se pose devant nous maintenant. Amène-t-il Alboreto au milieu de la piste? Vous allez le voir, le voilà, juste devant moi. Voilà qui va faire flotter les drapeaux et décoiffer les notables, mais alors on ne sait pas trop, c'est assez original. Et voilà la voiture de Lafitte que l'on ramène, Lafitte qui aura une course sans histoire, on l'aura pas vu bien longtemps. Et je vois là-bas au milieu de la foule, une foule compacte, les vainqueurs qui arrivent. Il me semble en tout cas qu'Alboreto ne devrait pas tarder. Le voilà, Michele Alboreto, ce garçon qui est né le 23 décembre 1956, avec Derek Warwick également. Deuxième podium pour Warwick. Il était déjà sur le podium il y a 3 semaines en Afrique du Sud, où il avait terminé 3e derrière Lauda et Prost. Et puis on attend René Arnoux. Et voilà le petit René qui ne devait plus y croire lorsqu'il a connu quelques ennuis et qu'il a dû laisser passer. Et Michele Alboreto, un garçon extrêmement sympathique, très calme, pas du tout le prototype de la vedette. Qui remporte ici une superbe victoire dans ce Grand Prix de Belgique. Nous allons donc conclure en vous rappelant le classement de ce Grand Prix de Belgique. Victoire d'Alboreto devant Warwick et Arnoux. Victoire de Ferrari devant une Renault, puis une Ferrari, puis la Williams Honda de Rosberg, la Lotus Renault de De Angelis, la Tyrrell Ford de Belloff, 7e Senna sur Telemann Hart, 8e Tambay sur Renault, 9e Sourer sur Arrows Ford, 10e Piquet sur Brabham BMW, 11e Palmer sur Ram Hart. 11 concurrents classés au championnat du monde des conducteurs, statu quo en ce qui concerne Alain Prost qui reste leader, mais c'est maintenant Warwick qui est deuxième avec 10 points. Et puis avec 9 points, Lauda, Rosberg et Alboreto. L'hymne italien avant de conclure. Et voilà, un hymne italien écourté pour Michele Alboreto. Nous allons rendre d'antenne. Rendez-vous dans une semaine déjà, dimanche prochain, où nous serons à Imola pour le Grand Prix de Saint-Marin. Merci de votre intérêt pour ce...
Michele Alboreto, safely at home in the Ferrari motorhome. Michele, your third Grand Prix victory. A flag-to-flag lead throughout the whole race. What was your toughest part of this event?
But easier than Kyalami.
Yes, much easier, that's for sure.
Because my car was perfect from the start to the finish. I have absolutely no problem and everything is getting better.
You got a fantastic start off the line, leading everyone into the first corner.
I have a little bit wheel spin, but after, no problem. In second and third gear, I go up.
Michele, there was one thing that was captured on Belgium television here with you going wide on one particular corner. What happened there? Were the tires going off at that point?
Yes, I finished my rear tires, and that's just 1 or 2 laps before my pit stop. After this problem, I have no problem at all. When I change tires, my car comes back very, very good.
And a fantastic pit stop it was, 11.3 seconds. You must be very happy with your crew.
I had to say thank you many times because I have a part of my victory.
9 points in the World Championship with none of the leaders really scoring any points. This gives you a very good situation for the championship.
We start now in the championship.
He certainly does, because he goes straight into joint third place in the championship points table with Niki Lauda and Keke Rosberg on 9 points. Alain Prost, who didn't score today, still has 15. But Derek Warwick is the new second man with 10 points. In the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari now second to McLaren and ahead of Renault. But there's just 1 week to go before we have round 4 of this exciting 1984 World Championship at Imola, the San Marino Grand Prix. Well, Zolder's lived up to its reputation as a car breaker. Very few cars finished, but what an absolutely magnificent drive by Michele Alboreto. His first win for Ferrari. And in second place, our own Derek Warwick moves him up to second place in the World Championship, and the second Ferrari in third position. Now, Keke Rosberg got fourth position because he finished enough of the distance. Elio De Angelis was in fifth place, and Stefan Bellof got his first World Championship point in the unsponsored Tyrrell, an absolutely magnificent achievement. Now, what does that do for the World Championship? It means that Alain Prost is still in the lead, but Derek Warwick moves up into second place, and we've got a tie for third position between Niki Lauda, Keke Rosberg and Michele Alboreto, with Elio De Angelis in sixth position. The Constructors' Championship, McLaren still leads, but Ferrari are in second place, with Renault in third position, Williams fourth, and JPS and Alfa Romeo tying for fifth position. And that bodes well for Ferrari, for Michele Alboreto and for René Arnoux at the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. Next week, join us with Grand Prix.